Nashville Predators, 102.5 and 106.3.
A gunny performance.
Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
Great, incredible weekend of sports. I mean, the Pro Bowl and the NHL All-Star festivities. I mean, I could not unglue myself from the television.
Oh man, it was
I've watched it all over again.
Yeah, the pre-show meeting this morning. It's all Izzo wanted to talk about was the NHL skills competition. It's pretty good stuff.
I know he lost to Rutgers, and he still
didn't care.
Didn't care. Yeah, just brushed it off and moved on to flag football.
That's right. Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Doing well this morning, guys. I was in New York for a family wedding. It was -10, felt like -20.
No, thank you.
I've never been outside where I was breathing in and was like, ow. It was insane. It was so cold. And then we landed last night and they're like, it is 55 degrees in Nashville. And I was like,
that's a heck of a swing.
Thank you.
That is an interesting. You don't see a lot of February weddings, but usually you wouldn't have negative, like a million.
We landed on Friday, and they're like, "It is about 5 degrees in Albany right now." I'm like, "Oh, great."
Sounds like my own personal version of hell. Good gracious.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, I was in Chicago, and it was 1 on Friday. It was 1. But then, Saturday, it was like high 30s there, so that was kind of crazy.
That's warm
up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
wow.
Nice. And now we got a good week ahead that way.
Did you watch 1 second of the NFL Pro Bowl games over the weekend?
Not at all. In fact, I was mad when I glanced at Twitter if I saw someone tweeting about it. We just watched the top 10, and it's like
Kyle Juszczyk dove and caught a ball.
Yay.
Way to go, buddy.
Some diving catch in flag football, and it was number 3. No, didn't watch any of that. Didn't watch any of the hockey stuff. I don't do it. I'm sorry.
We've talked about it. Look, I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. I've thought about this. I don't know what the solution is to the Pro Bowl. I don't know what the solution is to the NHL All-Star Game. When the All-Star Game came here, it was the first time that they had the format change.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, cool. It's something different. It's 3-on-3. Nice. That's awesome. And then about 2 years after that, you're like, okay, all right. They're just kind of going through the motions out there. Watching them skate at 1/4 of the speed that they normally go at, and nobody wants to approach playing defense or checking. Again, I don't know what the solution is, because I also know that if you're an owner, you don't want Connor McDavid out there plastering people up against the wall. I understand all that, but man, I turned it on for about a minute and 30 seconds, and I was like, all right, I love hockey. Can't do it. I just can't do the All-Star games in any sport.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing. I think, I will watch the NBA some, but I'm not gonna go out of my way. But if it's on, I'll watch that because just the skill on display. It's still more there's still no defense, but it's still more like the actual game. It's impossible to do that in football. So I guess going to flag football makes sense. You can still see some of the skill on display.
Sure.
And there's no chance of any, but of course you still have Myles Garrett, whatever the heck he did
dislocated
to himself.
a toe.
Yeah, that's wonderful. In this stupid flag football game, jeez. If you're the Browns, you got to be come on, man. But
some of the other stuff was fun, the challenges they were doing.
Yeah, so I do. I think I get that. I get that idea. I think that makes sense, But also, I still have no interest in watching it. That's just me. Some people do. I bet you the Pro Bowl numbers will come out.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
It'll be stupidly good, So good for the NFL. I still the baseball All-Star game. I used to get excited for that. I would be legit excited. Of course, which Detroit Tigers are in the All-Star game, but just, that is you are playing the sport.
You are playing the
sport. Yeah.
Now the problem is, especially recently, the pitchers are so good in the All-Star game that Like, you're barely seeing any offense.
Right. A lot of low-scoring
It's
games.
like, oh, Kershaw's out there for 2 innings. Great.
Yeah.
And then you bring on, the best relieving pitchers in the league out there for
Yeah.
the next 5 innings. It's great
Nasty stuff for an inning. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. It is interesting because I feel like it used to be more offensively proficient back in the day.
Yeah.
But it should have been the same thing, though. Shouldn't it have?
You would think. I don't know. I've described, especially like the NHL All-Star Game, I think it's great when it's in your city, right? Like, I'm sure people down in Florida who went to it had a great time. Like, obviously, I remember when it was here. It was awesome. Matter of fact, like last week, the old Facebook memories popped up of the red carpet outside of Bridgestone Arena in 2016. And I remember being there. It was awesome. Everything about the weekend was awesome. And then, like, I think about watching it on TV. Like, the All-Star Game is, especially in the NHL, it's not made for TV. Like, it is tailored to that market, which is fine. But when you're not there in the market, it can be tough sometimes, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if it's there, I mean, that's cool. I mean, you see all that stuff. You have a chance to see all these guys, these athletes live and everything. Yeah, I mean, that's a totally different deal. I mean, I'm sure, there was a lot. I was sure it was fun around there. We're going to be Toronto next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be, well, talk about negative 20.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, but they're used to it.
It's going to be, what was it? It was like 70-something down in Fort Lauderdale / Miami area this weekend. And
yeah.
It's going to be minus 15 next year at the All-Star Game. It's a heck of a switch.
Might be a little bit different for those guys. Yeah. But Saros, man, that was a heck of a shot by Saros.
Yeah. Guys got some skill.
I did see the replay of it.
Yeah, I saw that too. Gunner on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, not much interested in watching Big Jeff Simmons try to catch water balloons. They did try the old soft hands with water balloons. Ty on the text line says, I enjoyed both of them this weekend. Seemed like the players really enjoyed the Pro Bowl too. This from Ty on the text line.
There you go. This is why the numbers are good.
I know. Well, I'm sure the numbers will come out today or tomorrow, whenever they come out. And they'll be pretty good for people watching a flag football
Yeah, and
game.
it's like, it's like better than like NBA first round of the playoffs. Then I get all pissed off. I'm like, how could that be? God, how could that be?
But sometimes it is. It's amazing. It really is the machine that is the NFL. But I hope everyone enjoyed the Pro Bowl games and the NHL All-Star Game this weekend. The Predators will be back in action. They started practice yesterday, and they'll be back in action coming up tomorrow, taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. So back at it with the Preds. They're back at home tomorrow, and then they're off until Saturday as they go on the road to take on the Philadelphia Flyers. A coaching hire over the weekend, a historic coaching hire over the weekend by the Tennessee Titans, hiring former Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line assistant Lori Locust, joining the Titans staff. She announced it on Twitter on Saturday. It was reported over the weekend as well. And this is the first female coaching hire in the history of the Tennessee Titans organization. So cool stuff over the weekend. Lori Locust hired as a defensive assistant. Like I said, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line assistant.
Yes, I remember seeing a feature on her. I don't remember what network. It might have been ESPN or maybe NFL Network with the Bucs, and it was fun. She was it was really cool. So good for the Titans. The Titans are kind of catching up, with some of the other teams around the league in terms of diverse hires and stuff like that. So. And I see that she has tweeted about it. So, yeah, that's a good hire.
Yeah, you're really interested to see how that works out, and I guess what exactly I haven't seen. All I've seen is defensive assistant. I saw some speculation it was outside linebackers, but all I've seen is defensive assistant that's been confirmed.
Yes, online. I thought I saw that she was going to be helping out Ryan Crow.
There you go.
Did I see that?
No.
I mean, if that's in my brain, then I must have seen it somewhere. So
we know the brain of Rexrode.
Yeah,
great place.
Yeah. So because she was what? She was OLBs in Tampa. Is that right? No, assistant D line.
D line.
So
yep.
Yeah. So there you go.
So that's the hire the Titans made over the weekend. The offensive coordinator position still yet to be determined. Obviously, the Super Bowl taking place this week, so we'll get a little bit heavier into the Super Bowl matchup as the week goes along. But I would assume now that we've made it this far, with the Super Bowl being this week, I would assume next week, whoever the Titans want to talk to, whether that's Matt Nagy or Eric Bieniemy or a combination of the two, or maybe somebody on the Philadelphia side of things, that would take place. And then I would assume the offensive coordinator and offensive line coaches will be named after that in some short order, would be my guess. I would assume that Vrabel's not going to stretch this out until April 1st.
I would, yeah. I mean, I guess I would hope like a week from today, we'd get some news. Maybe even like before our show's over. It usually doesn't happen that way, but
maybe right after the Lombardi Trophy presentation. Vrabel's just hanging out on the sideline like, hey, excuse me.
Yeah.
Matt, come here. Got to have a talk with you.
Paul Mall, Matt?
Need you to be at work early tomorrow.
It's like, I think you might not have gotten my text messages.
Hello. Matt, I know you're celebrating the Super Bowl. Let's go talk. So hopefully that happens some point soon next week.
Yes, that'd be good.
615-737-1025. We're off and running today here on Robby and Rexrode. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025. Lots of interesting things coming out last week at the Senior Bowl and from the Pro Bowl this weekend as well. Jim Wyatt from TennesseeTitans.com caught up with Jeffrey Simmons and discussed his contract situation. We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon,
That fits the mentality of what they're going to do.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
Much more creative in how you go about calling certain plays.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
That doesn't mean that you can't have great or don't need great quarterback play.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Social Furniture's tax refund sale is going on now. You will save up to 50% in every department. Huge markdowns. You don't want to miss this opportunity to make your home spectacular. We have everything for your home in stock with no waiting. And hassle-free same-day delivery makes it easy. Pay no money down and pay no interest for 1 full year during Social Furniture's tax refund sale. Don't wait. Come in today. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center. And save, save, save.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company.
TD is with us for the TD Power Hour. Texter says, TD, do you believe that the Titans will have the ability to compete next season?
Absolutely. I think they surely will have the ability. The division continues to be wide open. Obviously, the Texans are going to get better. Obviously, the Colts are going to get better. The Jaguars are what they are. I think the Titans could absolutely get better. The good thing is there's a lot of options. You know, they have pretty solid draft capital. They're going to pick in the top 11 of every round. And then on top of that, they're going to do some different things to free up some money to go get some guys.
Here's the thing that I want everybody to remember. Everything went wrong for the Titans this season, literally everything, and they were 2 minutes and 50 seconds away from making the playoffs. I mean, like, that's
a monumental losing streak.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. We'll be joined by Wes Rucker from Go Vols 24/7 coming up at 6:30. Get his thoughts on the Tennessee Vols. Take your thoughts right now, 615-737-1025. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Doug from Columbia, who wants to weigh in. Doug, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, guys. Just curious if you watched the 30-30 last night about the Ravens.
I did not catch it last night. It's on the DVR list, though.
Yeah, it's
same. Didn't
really
see it.
good. there's a lot of info in there about the Titans because, they played them 3 times that year.
Oh, yeah.
And they had Brian Billick. The first time they beat the Titans, they had him holding up the magazine saying that the Titans were the best team in the NFL. And then he goes, "Not today." And the whole locker room went nuts. And then when they came back to Tennessee to play in the playoffs, the Titans played that on the scoreboard before the game.
Oh, yeah.
The whole speech.
Yep, thanks for the call, Doug. We appreciate it. I mean, thinking back to when I was a child watching that rivalry take place, I mean, kind of the two faces of it, we've talked about this before, were Eddie George and Ray Lewis on each respective side. But, yeah, you talk about two teams that didn't like each other all that much. Titans and the Ravens kind of fit the bill back in the day.
And you want to talk about because I kind of think about this with Sean Payton a little bit, but like of NFL coaches who love themselves.
Oh, man.
Oh, Brian Billick, man. Brian Billick. He's obviously
good coach.
Great coach,
Yeah.
but my goodness, did he know it and want you to know it too. Yeah.
I've got like this old Super Bowl DVD that had Billick mic'd up in the game against the Giants. It's pretty funny.
I bet.
He's a pretty entertaining guy on the sideline.
What? So does he do? He doesn't do any commentating, right? He did for a while.
He was on like NFL Network for a while, wasn't he?
He just
I don't know what he's doing now.
Got out of it, huh?
I guess so.
Speaking of that, so Brady apparently is going to do the announcing thing.
I guess so.
So Greg Olson gets bumped, and then what's all this stuff about Tony Romo?
What do you mean?
You know what? Hold on.
Yes, I saw that. What?
I may save that for later because I'm a little confused by it.
Okay.
But like apparently they had an intervention?
Yeah, an intervention with him apparently about whether it's his performance or.
Do you guys think he's like that different?
No.
I mean, I thought the first year I was like, this dude's just out of his mind. But he had good analysis.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brady, just brace yourself for the Brady disappointment. Maybe 80 for Brady's good, but Brady as an announcer, I'm not optimistic.
Any chance Rexrode gets to hate on Brady?
No, I mean,
We'll take it here on the program.
Stop it. I'm not hating on him. You think he's gonna be good?
I think he can be okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he's gonna be number one announcing team good right out of the gate.
Yeah, most people aren't.
Yeah, most people.
It's pretty hard.
Like
are not.
VFL, Jason Witten.
Yes. Yeah, that one was rough. So there's some news coming out over the weekend on the Jeffrey Simmons front. Jim Wyatt from TennesseeTitans.com caught up with Jeffrey Simmons at the Pro Bowl and got into the contract discussion with Jeffrey Simmons. And one thing that Simmons talked about, he met Rand Carthon this weekend. A couple of different quotes that stand out to me. This from TennesseeTitans.com. One from Jeffrey Simmons, quote, 1,000% he's a great hire. I think Miss Amy made a hell of a hire. The time we talked, I sat down in his office. It was unbelievable. He's an unbelievable guy. I can't say nothing bad about him. My first impression was out the window, end quote, from Jeffrey Simmons. And the other one talking about his conversations with Carthon in the meeting that made him feel pretty good about his future with the Titans. Quote, we had a great talk, and him saying I'm one of the priorities, that meant a lot. I feel like he's the person for the job. There's not much I can say, especially with talk of the contract. Agents handling that. But whenever we get to that point, I feel very confident that I'll be here in Tennessee, and I want to be in Tennessee. So we'll see how that goes, end quote, from Jeffrey Simmons. So all sounding positive on the Jeffrey Simmons front as it comes to his impressions of Rand Carthon.
It'd be awesome. He's like, yeah, I'm just not sure about this guy.
You know what?
I mean, yeah, we'll see. He hasn't done. He's mostly pro personnel. I'm not sure. I'm a little bit concerned about our future. But hey, hopefully he signs me.
Concerned about the college scouting part of it. We'll see how that part of it goes.
Right.
But we'll see.
But hopefully I get the biggest contract possible from him. It's always like players being interviewed about GMs.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jimmy's there. He's talking to Jeff, and the key there, obviously, is it's a check-in on, his thought on the process. Now, again, there's also how many players are like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to be in this town anymore. There's some other cities that I'd rather live in than this city.
Kyrie Irving.
This city's fine. That's what he doesn't. But he doesn't even say it out loud.
No, it's true.
You just get the shams and woes. You're like, oh yeah, he's requested another trade.
Yeah.
But it all sounds positive. I'm very interested to see exactly what they're talking about with his deal. Exactly what kind of deal he's going to get. Did last year hurt him? Just, again, I think his performance, which petered out a little bit, was due to the injury. Is there any sort of long-term concern with the injury. I would assume it'd be fine. If with time, it would heal fine. That was a lot of weeks of pounding on that thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was catching water balloons and running around at the Pro Bowl this weekend, so I assume he wouldn't do that unless he was okay.
That's good. So what is the water balloon thing?
You had to catch it without it bursting. It's like the egg toss, man.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
What are they doing?
Did go really well for Jeffrey Simmons one time. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It blew up on him?
Yeah, it blew up on a lot of people. But yeah.
I like the quote. My coworker Tashawn Reed had a quote from Josh Jacobs like, "This is some stupid bleep, man."
Man.
Thank you, Josh Jacobs.
But a nice update on the Jeffrey Simmons front from the Pro Bowl. I'm interested. I guess he makes it sound like Rand Carthon told him he was one of his priorities this offseason. So I guess that's good to know if you're Jeffrey Simmons to, have a starting point for your working relationship with Rand Carthon. At the end of the day, it's going to really come down to, the conversations that Carthon and his agent have. But we talked about it heading into camp last year. Would Jeffrey Simmons get a deal from the Titans? Obviously, he didn't. I do think it would behoove them to do that this offseason. They don't technically have to this offseason, but this is typically the time where you see that get done.
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. And doing it can help your cap situation this year.
Yep.
In fact, I need to look that up, but often you do a deal like this, and then you can change the money a little bit in that first year. So let's see, what is his cap hit? Yeah, I mean his cap hit this year is 10-8 basically. So as the number 19 pick. So I mean, he's going to end up making, obviously, a lot more than that in terms of annual salary, but they could make it so that cap hit is lower.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as far as the injury is concerned, I still think even at times while he was playing hurt, but certainly before he got hurt this year, I mean, you'd watch some snaps from Jeffrey Simmons, and you're like, yeah, that dude, he causes some problems on the other side of the ball for offensive linemen in this league. I don't think there's any question about that. I think the Titans would be really smart to get this done. Now, I am interested. We were talking about heading into this year, would Jeffrey Simmons be the second highest paid defensive lineman in the league behind Aaron Donald? Is that still the case? Is that still the ballpark where he should be? You got the Chris Jones deal that you can factor into all that too. With the season that he had, unfortunately for him, there was an injury, and he did play through it, but it did limit his production a little bit towards the second half of the season. So I do wonder, as they try to forge a path to get to a deal here between Jeffrey Simmons and the Tennessee Titans, what does that look like, and where does Simmons kind of fit into the pantheon of the highest paid defensive lineman in the league discussion?
Yeah, and how important is that? Again, if you just go by – I mean, if you're just going by annual pay, which again, the guaranteed money is what matters. I mean, if you're one of these guys, what matters is what's my guaranteed number, right? Right. But you got Leonard Williams and DeForest Buckner, Chris Jones, all above 20 a year, with of course Donald's, a solid 10 mil plus more than anyone else. No, I mean, look, but that's what also happens with these deals is whoever is next, it always. So it's like you're setting the market other than Donald. So yeah, right. I could see 25 a year type thing for Jeffrey Simmons somewhere in there between 20 and 25. So he could end up being number 2 because he's the next one to get a deal. So when Jonathan Allen's up, and I don't know when all these are up, but somebody like that he could leapfrog him when it's his turn. And I don't even know where he is. I mean, he just got paid not too long ago, but yeah, I would think so. And then it's what's the guaranteed number? And I still say, it doesn't matter now, but that doing it super early could have given them a little bit of a discount possibly. And also starting the clock, I mean, it's just how many more great years is Jeffrey Simmons? I mean, I think right now he's in his prime. Yep. How many great years is that? I mean, it's not a lot in most positions in this league. But if you're, we've talked about Jeffrey Simmons, could he be a trade chip? I mean, if you want to go get number 1, I'm sure the Chicago Bears would listen to that conversation,
Yeah.
But short of that, I mean, if you're trying to win next year, which I think they are, you need this guy healthy and happy, and you got to get this deal done.
Well, you need him healthy, happy, get the deal done, and then you need him to stay at this level for the next 3-4 years after that. I think he can. Look, he's still a young guy, so I agree with you. He's in the prime of his career right now, but when he's healthy, I still think the impact that he has on the game, and you factor it in with Autry and hopefully Landry's back, then you still have the makings of what could be a really good defensive front. And who knows, Joe, with them playing on turf next year instead of grass, maybe the injuries slow down a little bit with the new technology turf they have.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe not.
Maybe seriously late in the year, there's less slipping when the weather gets bad. I think that's a big reason they did it, right?
I think it is.
So
they were having injury problems before late in the year too. So we'll see what happens on that front.
Yeah, and I don't even. Where was he when he hurt him? I don't remember.
I want to say it was the first Indy game, maybe in Indianapolis.
So it was at Indy. Is that right?
I think. It may have been the second one at home.
Okay, well, there you go.
There you go.
Grass.
Maybe that's what it was.
It's your fault, grass.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Wes Rucker from Go Vols 24/7. We'll get his thoughts on all things Tennessee Volunteers. Take yours as well on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robby and Rexrode every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yost.
Matt Duchesne.
Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
The choice is yours, Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
The National Wild Turkey Federation is celebrating 50 years of conservation delivery during this year's Convention and Sports Show, set for February 16th through 18th at Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center in Nashville, Tennessee. Come celebrate the golden anniversary with members, volunteers, partners, and countless outdoor enthusiasts. You can expect the same great nightly events, quality entertainment in the watering hole, and the latest gear from more than 450 companies featured in their exhibit hall. For more info, go to nwtf.org.
Third and Home is Germantown's bar with a ballpark. Overlooking the Nashville Sounds, you can have the best seats in the house when baseball season returns March 31st. Pro tip, stop by before the game to watch batting practice from the patio and enjoy happy hour food and drink specials. The mouth-watering menu at Third and Home includes signature items such as wings, stuffed breadsticks, classic burgers, and hot chicken and waffles. Third and Home is open Wednesday through Sunday at 11 a.m. Visit thirdandhome.com.
Hey guys, Jeremy here, General Manager at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are the go-to spot in Nashville for the best old-fashioned, a nice relaxing cigar, and lots of high-end spirits and wine. Are cigars not your thing? No problem. We have the best ventilation system in the industry that provides a fresh, clean atmosphere for you and your friends. We are here to provide you a trendy, upscale experience in the heart of downtown. Check us out at 508 Church Street. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. Luxury redefined.
Want to be the real hero this Valentine's? Genesis Diamonds makes it easy with the Total Romance Package. It's the jewelry, the flowers, the candy, and the dinner out. All the key ingredients for a memorable Valentine's celebration. Here's how it works. When you buy any piece of jewelry for just $99 or more, we'll give you some gourmet chocolates, a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's Flowers, and a gift card toward dinner at STK Steakhouse. We've pulled together some wonderful Valentine gift ideas for the occasion. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, affordable timeless gifts she can enjoy for years. And of course, if you're thinking of getting engaged this Valentine's, Genesis can create the ring of her dreams with our dazzling GIA diamonds and designer mountings. Unlimited possibilities. So bring the sparkle and the romance with one-stop shopping at Genesis Diamonds. Spend just $99 or more with us and get the flowers, the chocolate, and gift card for dinner as our gift. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Limited quantity. See store for details.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Can't get enough Vanderbilt basketball?
Intercepted right all by himself for a one-hand flush.
Your home for the Commodores is 93.3 Classic Hits.
Put it up. It's good. Count it.
Join Coach Jerry Stackhouse and his team on their journey through the SEC.
Pulls a trigger. Yes, from three.
Check out Vandy Hoops on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Talking Vols, and to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Wes Rucker from Go Vols 24/7. Wes, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well, guys. How y'all doing?
We're great. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. Wes, this basketball team is very interesting to me. We know how good they are defensively. Obviously, when they're on, they're one of the best teams in the country. Offensively, this is a team that is quite difficult to figure out. They win 46-43 over the weekend against Auburn in a barn burner at Thompson Bowling Arena. So good on them for getting the win. What do you make of kind of the ebbs and flows of this team offensively, and what do you think that could mean for this group as they move forward?
Yeah, I'm just sort of waiting on the second half of that Tennessee-Auburn game to start. It's been the longest halftime I think I can remember. I mean, I can't really make sense of it, guys. I've tried. I've thought of a couple things. Maybe Vescovi's shoulder is an issue. Maybe there's a couple other things going on. But it's hard to really fathom how you can, go out there and against a top 10 Texas defense, just, could have scored probably 90 plus if you were really, really, really wanting to in that game, because that thing got ugly pretty early there in the second half. Or and then you can go score 54 against Florida, even less than that against Auburn. It's hard to figure out because their offense, when you watch a majority of their games over the course of the year, their offense, like it's done since Rick Barnes has gotten there, it works. The spacing, the cutting, the shot making, it's all right there. The unselfishness, the high assist ratio, all of it's right there. And then there's games where they just won't make shots at all. Like against Kentucky, if they just hit layups, they win that game. It's not that they're missing, 20 feet, 25-foot shots. They're missing layups. And it just it's something that goes on when this team just sort of falls apart offensively that is so staggering. It's just kind of hard to see what you're watching and make sense of it. And it would be a shame for them to waste one of the best defenses of this century at the very least, maybe even going back farther than that in college basketball. I mean, you're talking about an elite defense, and it would be kind of a shame to waste it.
Yeah, and you had a column I very much enjoyed recently, Wes, on kind of how when they do go bad, they go really bad, right? And I think that was after the Florida game, but they don't seem to have a lot of in between. It's like it's good, or then sometimes it's just jaw-dropping bad. I feel like one common thread there is the three guys who, when you mentioned Vescovi, obviously Josiah James, and then Zakai Ziegler. In some of these games when they've really struggled, all three of them are not making shots, and it's almost like it seems to snowball on them. Of course, to me, they're kind of the veteran core of this team. Even though Ziegler's only a sophomore, he's the heartbeat of this team. Do you feel like they almost, it's like they seem to rise and fall with each other a little bit too much?
Maybe, Joe. I mean, I think there's a possibility of that, and. Because it's normally like, at least one of those guys should be really good every game. You would think, and at least two of them you would really like to think would be good every game. I mean, guards across this game just have a couple games, and sometimes they stretch together where they just don't make shots. but it shouldn't be as contagious as it is for everyone else. I mean, it's honestly like it's like when one thing breaks, the whole thing breaks, and it just should not be that way. And I know they have a very, very unselfish team. Their ball movement is very, very good. They normally don't care who's scoring. They're a really unselfish team, but they just start doing things that don't make sense. Some of the passes they're making, they'll turn down open looks trying to get layups, and then it just something gets in their minds, and they stop being who they are when that's happening. And that's something Barnes has had to be all over this team about. It's that, guys, I don't care if you're missing shots, you still take your shots. Because if you start getting outside yourself, if you start doing things you don't normally do, you're not going to get better by doing that. You just do what you do, shoot your shots, and trust that they're going to go in. Stop doing things that don't make sense. And that's what I don't know what they've got to do to get these guys to stop doing that, but it is a nasty, nasty habit. I mean, think about this team right now. They are second overall on KenPom right now, despite their defense, or their offense, I should say, being 60th nationally. It is almost impossible to have one of those two categories be that bad and be ranked number 2 nationally. No one else in the top 15 or so has anything even close to that in terms of how bad one side is. That's how dominant Tennessee's defense is. So they're not. I say they're born on second base. They're born on third base with this defense. But sometimes they just don't put the ball in play. It's unbelievable to watch.
Wes Rucker from GoVols 24/7 with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So Wes, with all that in mind, because I agree with pretty much every word you said there. Now they're 19-4, and they got a big showdown with Alabama coming up, and they're one of the top teams in the country. So how would you describe maybe what you've seen, what you've noticed from this fan base, and what their view is of this team? I guess maybe what their trust level is with this team as they move forward.
Well, I don't think the trust level is very high. I mean, for a team that's 19-4 against the kind of schedule they've played, whooped up on Kansas, whooped up on Texas. I mean, that's the best basketball conference in the country, right? And they've taken some of the best teams in that league, and they've not just beaten them, but kind of stomped them a little bit, They've had some really, really good moments. They've, in a majority of the games they've played this season, they've looked like one of the best teams in the country. They really have. This defense it's the best that I've seen, certainly, at Tennessee. And it, there was a couple, maybe that Virginia team a few years ago, that Kentucky team that had Davis out there swatting everything and, that blocking all those shots. There's been a couple of teams that I've seen that just were just unbelievable on defense. This Tennessee defense is that good statistically. It is that good statistically. It is unbelievable how good that team is defensively. And I think it's weird because you look at Tennessee football and it's all the points they're scoring, right? It's the offense is so good and the defense you can't trust. And then in baseball, they were just sort of good at everything, and then they just sort of collapsed in the postseason out of nowhere. But the people around here have been used to seeing big, explosive stuff. They're not usually used to seeing a team that is struggling offensively, though. And they know that the history with this coach, with this program, is that they run into those games where they just don't make anything and they don't find a way, and those happen at the worst time. Those happen late in the season in games that you should win. So, yeah, that's in the back of their mind. I mean, people are behind this team. People are fired up, but there's always that kind of sense of impending doom, or that when's this gonna go bad? Because it's just, you can see the ending, all year. You can see just exactly how it's going to end. You just don't know when. And that can be tough on a fan base. So it's not that people aren't behind this team. They are. There's a really loud, annoying vocal minority who just are never going to be happy. But even most people, like the common average person, the normal fan, the supportive fan, that type, even they in the back of their minds are like, I don't know. And it's kind of a hard thing. That's when an arena of 22,000 people can go from a really, really, really good thing to a tough thing, because all those groans, 20,000 people doing that at the same time, you notice it.
Yeah, well, it's like that Kentucky game. That place was primed to be an incredible atmosphere, and then very quickly it was sort of, the air let out a little bit, and just like you said, layups and shots, and it can, that can be tough on a home team. I look at this team, Wes, and I think the other day kind of gave a little glimpse of, of maybe a postseason game. When it comes down to it, who does Barnes trust? We just mentioned those three guys, James, Vescovy, Ziegler. They all were in the 30s. Nobody else close to that in minutes in this game. And a couple guys in particular I'm wondering about right now who I think are really important. First of all, I think they need to go inside more in general. Like especially, I think Plavsic and Awaka, those guys can get stuff done on the block, but Julian Phillips and Tyreek Key. I feel like Tyreek Key has lost confidence, and I think it looks like maybe Barnes has lost some confidence in him. I'm wondering what's going on there. And then Phillips, to me, he's got to be one of those guys who kind of bridges the gap a little bit as a slasher, right? They've got to get him going. We've seen plenty from him, I think, to know it's in there, but right now he seems to be fighting himself a little bit too.
Yeah, he is, and I think the Phillips one is interesting because he does have that dimension, Joe, that a lot of guys on the team don't have, but he's got to go out there and show that. And there's times where now he's almost kind of too happy to sit in the background and kind of watch some of the vets do the work, when really he's the guy in those kind of bad situation type. He's the guy. There's no Kenny Chandler on this team. He's the guy who can put the ball on the deck and go score. That's something Phillips should be able to do. It's something we've seen him do at a high level against good teams this season. He's got to get back to that. I don't know if it's a freshman wall. I don't know what it is, but something's got to happen there. And then I would lump Olivier Cumwa in there right there with Plavsic and with Awaka, because what's happening now is teams are saying, and Kentucky did this, that's why Plavsic had like almost 20 points in that game, because Kentucky was like, fine, you want to go one-on-one on the post, we'll let you do that. We're not leaving the perimeter guys. We're not leaving them. Vescovy is not going to be able to breathe for all 30 minutes he's on the court every single game. He never gets that open because people just don't allow it to happen. And what happens is teams are letting Tennessee pound the ball inside because they're still not – the defense still isn't kind of sucking down and chasing down and collapsing because they're not leaving those shooters. Tennessee's post guys have got to put the ball in the bucket, and they've got to do it early, and they've got to do it often, because if they do that, that's when their offense starts to click. When they get the ball inside, when they're scoring that way, and then defenses have to help in, they can kind of push the ball out and hit threes. That's when they are really, really dangerous. It starts with those guys. So that starts with Cumwa, that starts with Plavsic, that starts with Jonas Adu, that starts all four of those guys, all four of them. They got to have at least two of them scoring in a game. They just have to have it, because if they don't, then defenses can just play them honest on the perimeter and focus out there too, and they can't get things done. So it's kind of like an offense breaker when someone's not scoring inside, because the defense doesn't have to go out there and doesn't have to worry about them in there. They've got to make people worry about them in there, or the numbers aren't going to get a lot better.
Well, Wes, great stuff as always. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
Anytime, guys. You know that.
Absolutely. Wes Rucker from Go Vols 24/7, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on the Vols, all things college basketball, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More on that coming up next. But first, Joe, Rexrode has a word from our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook.
Yes, I do. We all have our systems when we bet, from picking the perfect upset, coming through injury reports right before a game. But there's one thing every bettor should include in their system. That is the responsible gaming tools available on FanDuel Sportsbook. These tools help keep your play in check and under control. These tools include time limits, so you don't unknowingly spend more time on the app than you intended. There are wager limits that prevent you from betting more than you should. And you can even take a timeout, which pauses your account for as long as you may need. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be about fun and entertainment. So visit FanDuel.com/playwell and make responsible gaming tools a part of your system. And, of course, you must be on FanDuel Sportsbook, 21 or older, and present in Tennessee. And if you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Want to be the real hero this Valentine's? Genesis Diamonds makes it easy with the total romance package. It's the jewelry, the flowers, the candy, and the dinner out. All the key ingredients for a memorable Valentine's celebration. Here's how it works. When you buy any piece of jewelry for just $99 or more, we'll give you some gourmet chocolates, a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's Flowers, and a gift card toward dinner at STK Steakhouse. We've pulled together some wonderful Valentine gift ideas for the occasion. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, affordable timeless gifts she can enjoy for years. And of course, if you're thinking of getting engaged this Valentine's, Genesis can create the ring of her dreams with our dazzling GIA diamonds and designer mountings. Unlimited possibilities. So bring the sparkle and the romance with one-stop shopping at Genesis Diamonds. Spend just $99 or more with us and get the flowers, the chocolate, and gift card for dinner as our gift. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Limited quantity. See store for details.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company.
You're not that far away. And I felt like the Titans really knew that deep down inside too. And I really thought they had a chance. Because all these other teams that should have wanted Tom Brady didn't want Tom Brady. Miami doesn't want Tom Brady? How? And so I thought there was a real chance. When Tom Brady got divorced, because for the 9,000th time, Giselle did an interview where she said she wanted him to give up football and he wouldn't do it, I thought, well, he's definitely not retiring now. But I guess I was wrong. And I guess that hope for that juice, that spark, that jump, everything I felt like the Titans needed. Because this whole rebuilding thing you guys talk about, I'm not interested in. I don't know how they're going to get that now. I really don't. So I'm bummed out.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company.
You're not that far away. And I felt like the Titans really knew that deep down inside too. And I really thought they had a chance. Because all these other teams that should have wanted Tom Brady didn't want Tom Brady. Miami doesn't want Tom Brady? How? And so I thought there was a real chance. When Tom Brady got divorced, because for the 9,000th time, Giselle did an interview where she said she wanted him to give up football and he wouldn't do it, I thought, well, he's definitely not retiring now. But I guess I was wrong. And I guess that hope for that juice, that spark, that jump, everything I felt like the Titans needed. Because this whole rebuilding thing you guys talk about, I'm not interested in. I don't know how they're going to get that now. I really don't. So I'm bummed out.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. He's got big takes.
It's not that freaking hard. Hand the ball to Henry.
Small takes.
You have to defend your decision.
But all takes.
They win, they lose. Just invested a lot into this game. I thought it was the worst press conference.
He is Jared Stillman.
I guess I'm just not a very good coach, Jared.
Weekdays from 2 to 6, Stillman and Company. Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Preds fans, hang out tomorrow night before the Preds game at the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway with 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Place your bets with Superbook and enjoy great food and drink specials, plus enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Preds back in action tomorrow, taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Thanks to Wes Rucker for joining us in the last segment. Joe, Tennessee gets the win, 46-43 over the weekend in a barn burner of offensive basketball at Thompson Bowling Arena. I did watch some of that game, too. I think it's me. I got to stop. Like, every time I watch Tennessee, I mean, just, good Lord, offensively, doesn't go very well. But they did win the game, 46-43, so that's the positive. You get an SEC win. You're taking on Vanderbilt here in Nashville coming up on Wednesday, and a little bit over a week away now from a showdown between Tennessee and Alabama. So a big one coming up around the corner for the Vols. What did you make of the Vols this weekend, and what do you make of their offensive struggles that they are currently going through? Because the last couple of times out, they are going through it offensively right now.
Yeah, well, it's funny that Wes made that second half joke, because seriously, I had Brennan with me this weekend, and we were watching the end of the game, and he was like, wait, it's not about to be halftime? This is the end of the game?
It's set back offensive basketball about 5, 10 years, 15.
It's bad.
It was, it was bad. But, yeah, look at the numbers. I mean, Tennessee's 2 for 21 from 3. James, Vescovy, and Ziegler are 2 for 20.
Yeah.
They took 20 of those 21. They made the 2. I mean, Ziegler, the thing is, I don't worry about Zakai Ziegler because he's just awesome. He's just such a competitor, and he does everything for this team. And he played 35 minutes, and he had 6 assists, and, he does all this stuff. But the dude was 0 for 10.
Yeah.
And that's what you worry about because he one, there is a ton on him. There's a ton on him. He doesn't really have a backup. They don't have a backup point guard. And so when you get into these games where, I look in the NCAA tournament, a lot of times it is guard play, and it's a point guard matchup. And Ziegler does an incredible job for his height and for defensively on anybody. And, again, it's just so critical to everything. But that's a lot on him when you're also asking him to make a bunch of shots. So he takes 10 and doesn't make a single one. And he was the guy, the Kentucky game, and he was the guy who missed probably 3 or 4 just point-blank layups too. So you worry about that. And it's just, to me, it's like those guys, combined, they're 7 for 29 overall in that game. I mean, it's like the three of them can just all go into a funk together, and, man, you're in trouble then. Now, Kamwa, I agree. I don't think of him as he plays the 4 a lot with those other guys at the 5, and he's kind of more of a mid-range face-up. But, he can go post-up too. But he's 4 for 16 in that game.
Without attempting a 3.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it's like you're 4 of 16, and you're not shooting threes. It's not good.
Well, that's true. No, you're right. And he had one of those days. I mean, I thought a lot of those shots were pretty good, and but that's what you worry about. I still look at I look at Awaka, who I think is going to be really good. I mean, he's a freshman. He's going to be really good. He has a good feel for the game. Plavsic, he can score on most people. Yeah, and then Adu, those guys are a combined 3 for 8.
Yep.
And to me, you got to get them more shots. Now, I agree with what, when they get inside-out passes for threes. Well, it's not just them. It's statistically proven. Inside-out passes, those shots fall at a higher rate than pass around the perimeter shots from 3. And so you just have to get that going. But like Tyreek Key, he has been really good this year. He's kind of disappeared. And Phillips is so important because he can get to the line. Go get to the line. Go try to dunk on someone. Force the issue a little bit, and he is right now just a passenger. That's got to change.
No question about it. He ends up with 2 points on Saturday in that game after being almost invisible in the Florida game, too. They got to get that part of it figured out. They need more from him. Like I said, the good news is you win on Saturday. It could have been a total disaster by scoring 46 and losing back-to-back against Florida and Auburn. So you do get the win. The Ken Pom stat that Wes Rucker threw out there is kind of amazing when you think about how bad they are offensively in that measure and then how good they are defensively. That's the one hope you have, if you're a Tennessee fan, I think, is at some point I think we all know, or at least think we know, that an offensive dud in a tournament setting is coming for Tennessee. And what you hope happens when that takes place is, all right, can you defend well enough to escape anyway? And like Saturday is a perfect example.
Can you win 46-43?
Can you win 46-43?
Yeah.
It's not fun to rely on something like that, but at least with the way this team is defensively, you give yourself a chance where if you do have just a complete and total dud offensively, which they've had a few times this year, at least you give yourself a shot defensively. But, man, it's a tough spot to rely on that.
Yeah, for sure. And, the defense is going to give them a chance every night. So that's why, again, it's just you got to be less reliant on jump shots. You got to. They got so much size, so much depth inside. You got to go to that. If they struggle to shoot Wednesday, they could lose at Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
I mean they could. And Vanderbilt, by the way, pretty good bounce back. I mean, it's Ole Miss isn't good, but that was. I mean, the noise has been getting loud around Jerry Stackhouse.
Oh yeah.
And Tyron Lawrence, of course, doesn't play against Alabama. Tyron Lawrence, and you see this in sports, he has one of the best games of his career and is fantastic in the next game.
At 18-10.
Yep. And a huge play late to save the ball and get an assist on a huge shot. So, Vanderbilt, that was a big deal for them and for Stackhouse. At one of these times, and they almost beat Tennessee at home last year. In fact, I believe it was Plavsic and Ziegler who kind of saved that game late, if I remember that correctly, for Tennessee. Yep. So we could have an interesting one Wednesday night.
Well, I'm interested to see kind of what the crowd looks like for that game. Aria Gerson from the Tennessean tweeted out a photo before the Ole Miss game of the crowd. It's not great in Memorial Gym.
So like low crowd or a lot of Ole Miss people? Probably weren't
low crowd.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. Well, yeah, I'm sure it'll be pretty full, but it'll be pretty orange Wednesday.
Could be an interesting environment.
The students for Vanderbilt are going to have to,
elevate.
They've been good, but it's the older folks who haven't been showing up much.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, I saw some interesting comments from our man Jimmy Wyatt over the weekend relating to the future of Nate Davis. We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Sliding across, making the stop, UC Cerro.
We talk the game.
That wraparound goal by Sanford was a beaut.
Tanner Janot, Ryan Johansson gets on the board.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The big game is finally here, and so are huge savings at Electronic Express. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, TCL, Hisense, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Score amazing deals in-store or online at ElectronicExpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Hey guys, it's the new year. We popped the champagne, kissed at midnight, and it's time to make a new start. But if you aren't popping like you used to because of erectile dysfunction or low testosterone, maybe your new start should be making a call to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. You see, ED is just a medical condition affecting men of all ages. But the good news is that ED is highly treatable. In fact, the medical experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic have successfully treated thousands of men, with ED treatments having success rates as high as 90%. And with a variety of ED treatment options, including acoustic wave therapy, they can likely find the right one for you. You might even find your cork is popping like it hasn't in years. Plus, their low T treatments are highly effective. So many men have experienced life-changing results, from increased energy to more productive workouts, feeling more rested, and enjoying a greater sex drive too. So make 2023 the year you get free of ED and low T. Make an appointment. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a more comprehensive approach, including a testosterone lab panel and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment, sex start, results vary.
Hi, I'm Steve Lehman. Belmont Basketball is the best sports entertainment value in Nashville. Join us. Get your tickets at BelmontBruins.com. Belmont Basketball. It's Bruin time.
One reason for joining a company often becomes the most important reason for why you stay or don't. It's called work culture. At Cromwell Media, the owner of this radio station, we put a lot of energy into creating an environment that supports each individual and celebrates them as our teammates. This month, we're saluting Drew Chester in our sales department, who's enjoying his 5th anniversary. And Josh Kuhn, a part-time host on 102.9 The Buzz, passes the 3-year mark. Want to join Drew and Josh? Send us your resume at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robby and Rexrode. Chase and Michelle.
Caroline, Willie, D-Base.
Stone Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Cranks it, he scores.
On both sides of the ball. One big possession.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's
showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday or Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll have Corey Curtis for his weekly visit coming up at 8 o'clock. John Glennon from NHL.com joining us at 8:30, so looking forward to that conversation with them. Joe, I was doing some reading over the weekend, and anytime our good friend Jim Wyatt from Tennessee Titans comes out with a mailbag, I always enjoy checking that out. As you know, as someone who also does mailbags, some of the questions that you can get can be quite entertaining sometimes, and this one was no different with Jim Wyatt, kind of covering a variety of different things. But there was one question and one answer that kind of caught my eye in Jim Wyatt's mailbag on TennesseeTitans.com over this past weekend, and it came from Joe from Jolton. And the question was, what are your thoughts on the status of interior offensive line this offseason? I thought Corey Levin did a pretty good job when he was asked to step in, and I hope he's back at least for depth. I'd like to see us bring back Nate Davis, but from everything I've read, it seems as though most in the know feel he's as good as gone. That was the question from Joe from Jolton on Jim Wyatt's mailbag. And Jim Wyatt responded, "Hey, Joe, always good to hear from you. Hope you enjoyed the road trips I saw you on this season. I like Corey Levin as well, and I agree it would be good to get him back in the mix for depth. As for Davis, I'd be surprised if he's back in 2023. So we've talked about the state of the offensive line for the Titans, the changes that in some cases are going to have to be made this offseason with some new pieces coming in, but also throughout the question, who would you keep? Who is sticking around on this offensive line? Be that Ben Jones, be that Aaron Brewer. Obviously, we feel pretty good about Nicholas Petit-Frere sticking around, given where he was drafted last year and that he played the entire season at right tackle. But Nate Davis is a question mark there, and we've thought, all right, if you're the Titans, are you comfortable paying Nate Davis the money we think he's going to ask for, given the injuries and the unavailability that he's had over the course of the past couple of years? Or do you look at it and say, man, if we let him go, look at how much we're going to have to change on the offensive line this offseason. Can you really do it in one offseason? So what do you make of the Nate Davis conversation, and what do you make of Jimmy Wyatt saying he'd be surprised if he's back in 2023?
Well, I can't ignore it. You know, I think Jimmy, for the most part, it's not like he's, I would say, putting a lot of clues and stuff like that, typically. You know, obviously he works for the team, so he's got some information that others don't have access to. But that it's hard not to look at that and say, oh, okay, and take it seriously. And look, it could be as simple as, he just could know how someone really important in the organization thinks about Nate Davis, and maybe it could be also as simple as not trusting his health, you know? So you put that with another Jim Wyatt interview at the Pro Bowl with Ben Jones, and that's it. You can see where there could be a whole bunch of change and work. It's really interesting with Ben Jones. So here's a couple quotes from him. One, talking about getting the Pro Bowls, the quote is, quote, "Just getting rewarded here at the end is special," end quote. Like, okay.
Yeah.
What are you saying there? But then he talks about concussion-wise. This is also a quote from Ben Jones. Quote, "Concussion-wise, you go through that and get back from that, but you play 11 years after you get stuff cleaned up and fixed. My plan this offseason is getting back and healthy and be able to play at a high level again," end quote. Okay? So, and also he's talking about getting some surgeries. Like, how many
surgeries you need?
You just got to get a few surgeries
it's here. Like Vrabel with the numerous candidates.
Yeah, exactly. So when he said, quote, also, Ben Jones, "When camp comes around, if I'm able to go and ready to roll, I'm able to go out there and do it." So, I guess it sounded, right now, based on those two things, I guess you could pencil in Ben Jones at center and someone else at right guard. But what if what if it doesn't work out for Ben Jones? You're talking about some serious moving around. 11 was mentioned in that mailbag, and Aaron Brewer again. Aaron Brewer, he should be a center in the NFL. Is he a starting center in the NFL? I don't know that, but that could be that's been the idea with him, so that could be the corresponding move. I have thought it would be worth re-signing Nate Davis and hoping he can get back to the way he played when he was at his best, which was really good. But maybe they don't think that he can get back to that. And if you are worried about a guy just being able to answer the bell and be out there every week, then I get not wanting to pay him.
Well, we know some level of change is coming on the offensive line. At left tackle, you're going to have to figure out, obviously. And then there's the 2 guard spots. Like, if you go this route and Nate Davis, you don't feel comfortable bringing him back. Look, I'm not an offensive line expert by any stretch of the imagination. I can't imagine that their long-term plan is to have Aaron Brewer as your starting left guard. Like, it just, with his lack of size there, I agree with you. Like, I think he's more of a center in the NFL. So are you changing both guard positions this offseason if you're not bringing back Nate Davis? Like, is Aaron Brewer a part of your plans at guard for next season? Is he your backup center next season? Like what do you do at the 2 guard spots if you don't bring him back? And, oh, by the way, you still got to find the left tackle, be that Taylor Lewan or someone else. Like, that's a lot to work on in one offseason and hope that, like, all 3 of those spots you can hit if you do that.
Yeah, and hope the right tackle gets a lot better.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's I mean, again, if Ben Jones back, I mean, my guess is that Aaron Brewer would still be the odds-on favorite to just stay in his spot. It's not ideal because, yeah, it wasn't great. But how? I mean, you're going to be able to go upgrade, get someone comparable to Nate Davis when healthy at right guard, and then get a starting left tackle. It's a lot.
It sounds like a lot.
Taylor Lewan, cheap deal. Then you just worry. Then you address the guard spots. It's a thought. Well, again, even if you somehow talked him into that, he wanted to do it. You wanted to do it. You still have to draft. You have to find your next left tackle.
Well,
long-term left tackle.
Well, that goes into just the off season. You got free agency, which we've talked about at wide receiver. Like, at free agency at wide receiver, there's not a ton there. Like, you can find some guys that have, in some cases, bounced around the league, and in other cases have gotten a little older, and maybe the money doesn't cost you that much, but the impact hasn't been much from the guys that are available. Like, if you're going for guard, first off, very rarely, unless it's just elite level players, do you see offensive guards go really, really high in the draft. But you do have a left tackle position to figure out. You do need to address wide receiver. Where are you finding your guards? Are you doing it later in the draft? Are you doing it via free agency? Is it a combination of the two? Are you hoping that, I don't know, Jamarco Jones is healthy and now he's your starting offensive guard? I don't know. It's a whole lot to accomplish. And that's why we talked about the draft picks. They've got so many needs that they could fill and that they could use in the draft right now that, it would be great if you could eliminate one of those needs by bringing back a player that's already with you. But if you don't feel good about it, then I guess you don't need to spend that type of money when it comes to Nate Davis. I'm interested to see what type of money he gets on the open market.
Yeah. It's a decent group out there, which is good for the Titans.
Yes.
Maybe not great for him. And maybe that's just the idea with the Titans. It's like, we could pay him, but actually, I like this guy better than him. And this guy I feel like is going to stay healthy, So yeah, I could see someone, if you look at Nate Davis, you look at Nate Davis at his best, then I think Nate Davis is an appealing and I guess you could also look at the Titans and say, just get anybody away from the Titans and they'll be 30% less likely to be injured.
Could be that.
You could look at it that way too. But no, I think there's definitely in the free agency period, whether they were to sign him or not, there has to be at least one significant signing of an offensive lineman by the Titans. I don't see how they could pop. If not more than one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been making bad choices there too. Now, different GM, but it's not just John Robinson drafting poorly at offensive line lately. It's also the guys like
Kendall Lamb they brought in.
Lamb and Jones and these guys and the people they've let go have been decent at least in their other stops.
Austin from Clarksville on the text line says, crazy thought, what if they give Radens a try for a season at left tackle?
Well, he's coming off the ACL.
He's coming off the ACL, but they did eventually get to the point in the Chargers game where they gave him a shot at left tackle, and then he tore his ACL. So you're like, okay. Well,
yeah, he had a good series.
Had a couple of good.
I mean, he
good
looked better
looks.
than Dennis Daly for a series.
He did.
So,
but that's obviously an extremely limited sample size. And again, when's he going to be ready? Like you tear your ACL in late December. When are you going to be ready the next year?
Right. I mean, but with him at this point, I mean, I guess kind of like Caleb Farley in the same draft. You're just hoping at some point to recoup some value out of him, but I don't even – that would be at some point next year being a decent backup.
Yeah.
At one or I guess like interior, if he's that versatile that you could plug him in anywhere, there's some value to that. But no, obviously coming off the ACL, he's certainly not going to be your answer going into the season. I mean, he has to be out of the equation, when you talk about your tackle depth early.
Jason from Mount Juliet with an interesting question on the text line. Any chance that Brewers' play suffered from the horrible left tackle play? So maybe if you are Vrabel and you're the Titans, you take a look at it, you say, all right, well, how much better would Aaron Brewer be if you had a competent starting left tackle over there? I don't know. I don't know how they feel about that, but I can't imagine that having Dennis Daly next to him was much of a help for Aaron Brewer last year.
I know there's just some times where when you're playing some of the especially like interior guys with length.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when they played Washington, where, look, sometimes it is just as simple as you block him. One person blocks the other person, and he got overwhelmed at times because of his lack of size. Now, he also, he had good moments. I mean, he wasn't like it wasn't like a complete disaster with Aaron Brewer at left guard. This is how offensive linemen, officials, we notice the mistakes.
Yep.
And cornerbacks. You get torched one time in a game, that's what you remember. You don't remember like the 30 plays where they didn't throw your way because you had good coverage. I mean, Aaron Brewer wasn't a total disaster. But I also would not say that it's just about who was next to him. Sometimes you have to block someone, and look, some of these guys in this league are a problem. And also when you compare it, when you've had those years of Saffold, who, by the way, got torched a fair amount in pass pro, but still Saffold was so big, so physical. It's just such a huge difference going from him to Brewer at that spot. But I think Brewer, in some way, being involved next year is very possible. And I unlike some people, I think they're a little bit over exaggerating his struggles. I don't think that's a disastrous thing for the Titans.
So do you think the Titans should re-sign Nate Davis? What do you make of what the offensive line could look like next year? How big of a concern is that to you as you forecast what the Titans could be coming up next season? 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll get into all that coming up next. Tomorrow, it's your chance to participate in Pred's Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Your next chance to participate is tomorrow morning at 8:45. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Join Robby and Rexrode for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You can trek through the savannas of Africa. Wait on the magic moment on the Great Plains of North America. Or find the thrills of Patagonia. You can book your dream hunt at the SEI Convention, coming to Nashville for the very first time. Come find your adventure February 22nd through February 25th. It's the ultimate sportsman's market, a place for every hunter. And this year, it's happening Music City style, with special performances by Lee Brice, Big and Rich, The Frontman with Gretchen Wilson, and of course, Leonard Skinner. It's a celebration of the outdoor lifestyle, February 22nd through February 25th. Come find your adventure. Just log on to safariclub.org. One more time, that's safariclub.org. This convention will sell out, so reserve your spot today. Come find your adventure.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. we have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come, join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
Celebrate Nashville's chefs and diverse food scene throughout the month of February with Dine Nashville. Scheduled events include one-of-a-kind chef collaborations throughout the month and Restaurant Week, February 20th through 26th. Reservations and more information can be found at visitmusiccity.com/Dine Nashville.
Losing your hair? It's Chase McCabe. No matter your age, gender, or type of hair loss, it's never a good feeling when you see too much hair in your brush or you begin to notice bald spots. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 members get hair they love. If you're affected by hair loss and not sure what to do, let Hair Club help customize a solution for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today and get started at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are good to go. Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode. Every morning, first thing. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join 102.5, 106.3 The Game this Saturday at 3rd and Home, located at 919 3rd Avenue North in Germantown for a Preds watch party as the Preds take on the Philadelphia Flyers at 11:30 a.m. Nice little early start on Saturday coming up. Come watch the game, get some Preds swag, and also enter for a chance to win some tickets to an upcoming Preds home game as well. That says the Preds take on the Flyers coming up on Saturday, 3rd and Home in Germantown. So looking forward to that. Right now, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, discussing the Titans' offensive line and the changes that we could see this offseason. Zach from Nashville on the text line says, between free agency and the draft, the guard market is flooded with quality starters. By the time May rolls around, Brewer shouldn't be and likely won't be in the conversation for any starting position unless Ben Jones retires and he's competing for center. This from Zach from Nashville on the text line.
I think that's ideal. I think
I would agree.
Ideally that would be the case. Now, does that mean they're gonna sign 2 free agents? They're gonna let Nate walk and sign 2 free agents, sign 2 veterans, take on the cap implications of that? Or you sign somebody and you draft somebody. This is the thing, like even if Radens hadn't torn his ACL, you'd have another option there that you probably feel okay about in the mix there. But yeah, I mean, I think ideally Aaron Brewer is in line for a starting spot if Ben Jones decides he can't go.
I would agree with that. And the Ben Jones part of this is interesting. Like, you know, you brought up his quotes in his interview over the weekend at the Pro Bowl. You know, what exactly does he want? I mean, we had the same conversation about Ben Jones last year, right, in terms of is he going to be back? Do the Titans want him back? Does he feel like this is enough for Ben Jones and his body's been through enough, he wants to call it a career? Like, it sounds like he may still want to play, and if he still wants to play, like I think the Titans will be interested in bringing him back. I mean, Vrabel loves him, and I still think when he's on the field, he plays pretty well out there.
No doubt. I mean, he's a big part of this locker room. He's a good player, and they would gladly have him back. If they do, then you absolutely have to feel good about your depth.
Yes.
Because you just – I mean, you have to be a little bit concerned about the concussions adding up. Not to mention he's had when he's talking about surgeries, I'm sure a knee is part of that because he's had knee stuff for a few years now. So, but if you got another year out of him, sure, the Titans would absolutely take that. And that's right. Brewer and Levin is, look, Levin, I've always thought Levin was solid. They let him go, a few years ago, and I was a little surprised by that. But Levin and or Brewer, I think, could be, you'd feel pretty good about your backup situation.
How are you feeling at right tackle right now? Because I don't think either one of us believe that they're going to have a starting right tackle other than Nicholas Petit-Frere next year, just based on him playing the whole year this year. You drafted him in the 3rd round a year ago. He had some moments this year where he looked pretty good, some moments this year where he looked like a rookie, which you expect of rookie players. Overall, I guess, what did you make of what you saw from him? And if you're the Titans, how are you viewing the right tackle spot right now as you move forward? I mean, that was one of the storylines in training camp, was right tackle. And Nicholas Petit-Frere won the job, and it was his job all year. How are you feeling about that spot as you move forward?
Well, it's kind of like the same thing I just said about Aaron Brewer. The glaring – you could say – if you want, you could say the same thing about Dennis Daly. I think at some point it's like too many of them. The glaring mistakes stand out. So Dennis Daly might have had 3 horrific snaps in a game and a bunch of good ones, but the 3 horrific snaps are all we ever talk about or all we ever see. But the bottom line is, in this league, you have a handful of those, a few of those, sometimes just a couple of those that can make the difference in a game. I thought Petit-Frere has had some brutal snaps, especially late in the season.
Yep.
So is that rookie wall stuff, or was there some injury or something? I have no idea. That's the thing. Overall, there's a lot of promise in what he did. I would expect him, based on what I've been able to see from him, talking to him and all that stuff, I expect him to have a really good offseason and be one of those guys who makes a big leap from year 1 to year 2. That's what I would expect. And I'm sure that's what they expect. That's what they need. I think there's a pretty good chance of that with him. So, and, new O-line coach and all that coming in and everything. I think they're going to be okay there.
The Taylor Lewan conversation to me is really interesting because there are some people that I think totally dismiss that as something that the Titans should consider doing. Like, I've heard TD say a couple times, and I think it's time to move on from Taylor Lewan. I think everybody agrees it's time. Like, there's no way you're paying him that money next year, so he's going to get cut.
Oh, he's cut.
Everybody agrees with that. I think Taylor Lewan himself knows that based on some comments that he's made on Bussin' with the Boys. I do wonder, like, if you're the Titans, weighing the pros and cons, if you could get him back on a reasonable deal. And I guess your definition of reasonable and his definition of reasonable have to line up there. How worthwhile is that conversation if you're the Titans? Because there are some that think it's just time to move on. The Taylor Lewan era needs to be done. It just is what it is. I have no idea if he wants to continue playing. Like, that's the other part of this too that I think may factor into this more than anything. Like, does he want to continue playing football now based on the way things have gone?
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie and say I listened to Bussin' with the Boys, but based on things that people have tweeted out, like Michelle, you listen to Bussin' with the Boys?
No, I just listen to clips here and there, but sometimes I listen to the Derrick Henry episode. That was a good one.
But based on what I've heard from him, it doesn't sound like it sounds more like he's leaning more toward not playing. I think to talk him into it, first of all, if you even want to talk him into it, but to talk him into it, I think he'd have to feel good about also, like, next year's team having a real chance to do something, which I personally think they might have a little bit better chance if they had him on a super cheap deal. But how does he feel about Henry, Tannehill, the defense, Vrabel? Can that team make an actual run? Because I think if he's coming back and he thinks it's a 9-8 team, I have my doubts that he'd even want to deal with it after 2 straight ACL surgeries.
I do too. But, like, I keep going back to, if you don't do that, like, if that's not something you entertain if you're the Titans, like, you got a whole lot to fix this offseason. Now, having said that, I also agree with those who say, well, okay, let's say you bring Taylor Lewan back and he's on a cheap deal. Like, does it really change the formula all that much from what you have to do anyway? Like, you have to go find another left tackle, even if Taylor Lewan's coming back.
Yeah.
Now,
you need to be in a situation where you're not relying on Dennis Daly to protect your quarterback.
For sure. Now, if Taylor Lewan is back, and let's say Paris Johnson is available at number 11 overall, Does that change the way you view that? Like, to me, it shouldn't. Like, if you feel like he's your left tackle of the future, then you go take him, right? Whether Taylor Lewan's back or not. But having
Unless
said that,
you take a receiver,
you still need a wide receiver. Like, you need, in my opinion, multiple wide receivers.
Yeah. So I agree. To me, it's like you have to fix it, and you also have to – and they've tried. They've tried with Lamb. They've tried with Jamarco Jones, but you have to have more depth. You got to have – in this league, there maybe aren't a lot of great offensive lines in this league. There are some. And, by the way, one of the best is in the Super Bowl, and a good one on the other side. But, finding depth, because you're going to have injuries. And the Titans have had in recent years, they've been able to plug in some guys and be okay. They weren't obviously last year. Again, last year was brutal, and they swung the trade for Dennis Daly to make it not as brutal. Imagine had they not done that. I guess we just would have seen a whole bunch of Dylan Radins. I'm not sure Dylan Radins would have been worse than Dennis Daly over that time. I don't know. But regardless, you got to address depth. So if you had Lewan, yeah, I agree. You need to still find your left tackle of the future. But maybe you in that situation, you drift a little more toward receiver and you get the tackle in the third round. I mean, that's that could change the equation. Austin from Clarksville says reports on the Titans really high on CJ. I assume he means CJ Stroud.
I would assume that's the CJ you're referring to.
Have you seen that? I missed this.
No, look.
But there's a whole bunch of crap that flies around for the next few months.
Yeah, there's that, but also like if you're really high on CJ Stroud, that's great. Probably not getting him at 11. So have to go move up.
Right.
Which they could do.
But you may not have to move up to 1.
May not. Or you may.
And as far as being high on them, again, there's so much more information that all these teams don't have yet that they're about to get in about a month, to help you start really forming those opinions.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, I saw some Vol Twitter over the weekend. Oh, man, the Titans talked to Hendon Hooker. Be great if they drafted Hendon Hooker. And I'm not saying the Titans wouldn't be interested in Hendon Hooker. I'm like, Hendon Hooker's probably going to end up having a conversation with about 25 teams.
Every team.
Yeah.
I think you talked to every team.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Just keep that in mind. 615-737-1025. We'll take more of your thoughts on the Titans, some decisions they have to make at offensive line this offseason. We'll also look ahead to the Super Bowl coming up next as well. All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hi, I'm UC Saros. And this is Smashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by UC Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5, The Game.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
You could save big when you bundle your home, auto, and other vehicles with Progressive. Now that we've covered something you could do, it's time for sports stuff you definitely could not do.
You could not have turned that double play. If you think you could dive, then spin, then launch a perfect throw 120 feet, you must be forgetting that you get dizzy when you stand up too fast sometimes. If you tried to throw that hard, that would be the last thing you did with your arm before shoulder surgery.
But you definitely could save big when you bundle your home, auto, and other vehicles with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Hey, you think mortgage rates are still super high? Well, think again. Rates have plummeted to a 5-month low. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now to see how low rates are. It may be time to do that refinance you've been putting off, or time to get back to house hunting. If you're like a lot of people, you've got way too much credit card debt right now, and you're getting fleeced with 20+% interest charges every month, or maybe your current home rate is over 6%. So if that applies to any of you, listen, you can get a quick, easy refi at Loan Pronto. Wipe out all those cards. Close in about 14 days and cut your overall expenses by $500 a month or more. How does that sound to you? Right now, Loan Pronto is doing refis with APRs in the 4s. So call now to take advantage of this big rate drop. Get those credit cards to zero. Start that home improvement project, or get out of that 7% loan you were forced into last year. Here's the phone number, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
When you want live and local,
If they were just better at the offensive line.
You can be a contender in the AFC again.
they've had more winning seasons than not. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game has you covered. Looking for some national programming?
Why do I want to get a running back like that 5 more years?
The AFC now is so deep at quarterback.
Check out 94.9 The Fan. Nashville's home for all things sports is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Our buddy Alex from Montreal on the Taylor Lewan discussion says no guarantees that he doesn't get hurt again, and that's a great point to bring up. I mean, we know there's no guarantees with everybody, but like if you're the Titans, for me, to even consider this, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to fold into place. Number one, he's got to be open to coming back and playing. Number two, it's got to be for the right amount of money. And number three, the medical report has to convince you that his knee is completely healed. And
that's to
ready
convince
go.
him. I mean, but that's the thing. He wouldn't even consider this, right? Like if he
I
didn't
wouldn't
feel like the second surgery worked.
Well, when after this most recent injury, he went on his podcast a few days later, and at some point talked about how, at some point down the road, we're going to talk about what happened with my knee the first time and get his perspective there. I've not heard him do that yet. I would imagine that's coming at some point. But, obviously, I think reading between the lines, something didn't go right after his first time he tore the ACL in terms of the recovery and maybe the surgery part of it. And now, how much better has that gotten? Is it going to be completely healed this time? If it's not, you're right. I don't think he would even consider doing it. But you got to be convinced of that if you're the Titans too. Okay, is this thing actually fixed and the ACL is healed? Now, he could go back out there in the second week of training camp and re-injure something else, and that's a risk that everybody takes. But 2 ACLs is not something you could just ignore if you're the Titans.
No, of course not. And there's definitely no guarantee. Again, that's why he's cut. And then, look, we've talked about this quite a bit. This may be laughable in the building. I don't know.
Could be.
But I still believe that if he wanted to play, was motivated, was healthy, the second surgery took, that he could be pretty good left tackle in the NFL, probably for a couple more years if he wanted to. And certainly much, much better than what the Titans had going on last year. Now, better than, if they let's say Paris Johnson is just ready to plug and play, for example, at left tackle. Better than that? I don't know. It'd probably be similar. You're talking about a veteran who's played at a high level in this league, and you're talking about a rookie. You figure the rookie's going to take some lumps. But again, to me, you want both. You want Lewan, if possible, and then and you want your developmental rookie who is going to be your long-term left tackle.
Got a question about T. Higgins on the text line, too. I'm interested to see what happens there. We all know, like, at some point, the Bengals, whether it's now or a couple years down the road, like, you're probably not going to be able to pay Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins the money that they all want. And I would assume that T. Higgins is probably the odd man out in that discussion. And there have been some rumblings about could that happen now? Like, could the Bengals this offseason decide to move on from T. Higgins and get a haul back because they don't want to pay that amount of money? I would say this, like, if you're the Titans, I'd be asking about that if that opportunity became available. I think T. Higgins is really good.
I do too. You know, T. Higgins is, I mean, you're talking about 3 years in this league, and look, there is something for the last couple years to be said for being the other guy with Jamar Chase on the other side. How much does that help you out? I'd say a fair amount. I mean, the last 2 years, almost identical seasons. 74 for 1091 and 6 touchdowns, 74 for 1029 and 7 touchdowns. 14-7 a catch, 13-9 a catch. Great numbers. An elite 2 in this league. Big part of their success. Yeah, like Corey Davis had really good numbers that 1 year, across from A.J. Brown. I think it kind of helped to have A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry on the side, and it's kind of played out that way, right? Like,
I would say so.
There are people who benefit and maybe look a little better than they are. I don't think that's T. Higgins. Now, is T. Higgins a straight-up 1 in the NFL for somebody? I think he can be a number 1 receiver for a lot of teams in this league, but is he a quote-unquote number 1 receiver? I don't know, but like if you had T. Higgins and then Traylon Burks came on, all of a sudden you'd feel pretty good about your receiving situation. You'd feel way, way better.
There's no question about that. A perfect summation of what the text line could be like sometimes, and we love everyone on the text line.
Not really, but yeah.
But we have like a couple people like, Taylor Lewan's done, move on. What are we even doing?
Right.
And then we have Josh on the text line. Taylor Lewan's coming back. There's no one that stands out in the draft that will come in immediately and be a better option. His knee wasn't repaired correctly. He spoke on that in his podcast. He's also said in the past he wants to retire as a Titan. He'll make a deal and be a surprise comeback player. Hot take or blind optimism, but that's what I believe. This is from Josh on the text line. That doesn't sum up the text line of, why are you talking about this? Or, yeah, Lewan's coming back. What are we talking about?
I like that your voice for Wyatt was like, rah! And then more like the normal voice for Josh. So just to keep in mind, though, Josh, like, he already is retiring as a Titan if he retires. I agree. I don't think he's going to play for another team.
You don't think he's going to be the left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year?
Yeah, well, I don't think so. Maybe he could go be a backup left tackle for the Lions. Go back to the great state of Michigan. No, I think it's here and a much lower because no one else out there is going to give him some big number at this point.
No.
But, man, anybody who has watched him play and doesn't think that he still has some good football in him, I don't know what you're looking at. But again, even before he got hurt, watching him in camp this year, I mean, he's a very good left tackle. And it just comes down to when you have 2 ACLs in a row and you are thinking long-term. We know he's thinking long-term about his health. He's talked before about the brain stuff he's been trying to do. I mean, he had some nasty concussions. It just really so much. It basically just comes down to whether he wants to put himself out there again.
Joe, it is Super Bowl week. The Eagles and the Chiefs taking place later this week in Super Bowl 57. As you look at this game, as you look at the week leading up to this, Media Day is coming up, so we'll see if A.J. Brown has anything to say at Media Day. Looking forward to all that. But what is the most intriguing storyline in this Super Bowl to you as we look ahead to the big game this Sunday?
So just for me, I mean, the Kelsey brothers story is great. I do think that this is okay. For me, it's just the game. I'm really excited for the game and the matchups. I think that this is it's a little bit of a narrative set. Look, this is another possibility. First of all, Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than I thought he'd be in the NFL. He's very good. But if the Eagles win, it's yet another example of you can do it without a Mahomes, a Brady, a Rodgers. It's another example of build a great team and you can win with a good quarterback. Chiefs win it. We're talking, I think the dynasty, discussion is there. 2 for those guys. And it's more like, say, this is why you got to have a Mahomes. Is when it comes down to it, the Eagles may have been the better team, but they had Mahomes. So part of it is like what will be the discussion afterward. But I do think the illumination of the Andy Reid, this Andy Reid just, I feel like no one in the league doesn't like him. And I think, I think anybody who pays any attention to him has to appreciate his personality, who he is. And also, like, the Andy Reid tree, been very, very good. It's very underrated, and this is sort of bringing to light all the different, coaches under him who have gone on to do good things.
It's an interesting game for me because I think the Eagles have the better offensive line. I think the Eagles have the better defensive line. I think the Eagles have the better wide receiving core. I think the Eagles have a better defense overall. But they don't have Patrick Mahomes. They have a better running back. Like we can go up and down the list. Now, obviously, they don't have the better tight end, and they don't have the better quarterback. And
but they still have like a top 5 tight end in the league.
He's pretty good.
Probably.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Like I think the Eagles are the better team. That's a long way of me saying that. Is that going to be what matters, or is Patrick Mahomes going to be what matters in this game? I mean, you brought it up. This is a classic test of that. And look, Andy Reid, I think, is a great coach. Nick Sirianni, to his credit, has done a way better job in Philadelphia than I ever thought he would, especially after that introductory press conference that he's referenced a couple of times. It was pretty bad. But he's done a great job. I'm really excited for this game on the field. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Mahomes is going to make some plays, especially if his high ankle sprain has had some time to heal out there. He can move around a little bit more. But I think in some ways, Joe, doubted the Eagles a little bit all year long. And even in the last game, I thought San Francisco was going to win. Now, granted, Purdy got hurt. But I'm on the Eagles train. I'm going to Philadelphia on Sunday.
Okay. Oh, I already
That could be the kiss of death.
Already making the call. Yeah, I'm really unsure. I really bounce back and forth on this one. I think, I agree with everything you said. The Eagles are the better football team, but I don't know. I think I'm probably going to go back and forth a few times before we get to the actual game. And so I hope that means that we're going to get a great one.
I hope it does as well. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it's time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. We will do that coming up next. But let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. We all have our systems when we bet, from picking the perfect upset to combing through injury reports the night before the game, or maybe some player props or game props that have worked for you in the past. But there's one thing every bettor should include in their system, and that's the responsible gaming tools that are available on FanDuel Sportsbook. These tools help keep your play in check and under control. Tools like time limits, so you don't unknowingly spend more time on the app than you intended. Wager limits available as well to help prevent you from betting more than you should. And you can even take a timeout, which pauses your account for as long as you may need. All of this available on FanDuel Sportsbook, and FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be about fun and entertainment. So visit FanDuel.com/playwell. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/playwell, and make responsible gaming tools a part of your system. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Here's a Valentine's reminder from Genesis Diamonds. It's not just the thought that counts, it's the effort too. So let Genesis Diamonds turn your Valentine's Day gift into a grand romantic gesture with our Ultimate Valentine's Day package. Right now, when you spend just $99 or more at Genesis Diamonds, we'll give you gourmet chocolates, a bouquet from Jenny's Flowers, and a gift card toward a romantic dinner at STK Steakhouse. It's just one stop at Genesis Diamonds and you create a total romantic experience. You simply choose which ring, pair of earrings, or bracelet or sparkling pendant best matches your special someone, and we'll take care of the rest. And as always, we'll guarantee the best value price with no commission salespeople. The Ultimate Valentine's Day package. Jewelry, flowers, dinner, and candy from Genesis Diamonds. Sure does make it look like she's worth the extra effort. And that's the thought that really counts. Hurry in now because packages are limited. Genesis Diamonds in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
You could save big when you bundle your home, auto, and other vehicles with Progressive. Now that we've covered something you could do, it's time for sports stuff you definitely could not do.
You could not have turned that double play. If you think you could dive, then spin, then launch a perfect throw 120 feet, you must be forgetting that you get dizzy when you stand up too fast sometimes. If you tried to throw that hard, that would be the last thing you did with your arm before shoulder surgery.
But you definitely could save big when you bundle your home, auto, and other vehicles with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Imagine her delight when she unwraps a luxurious spa day from A Moment's Peace, the ultimate day spa and salon in Cool Springs. A spa gift card lets her pick whatever she wants, and whether you spend a little or go lavish, you're a thoughtful romantic this Valentine's Day. But time's running very short. Call 224-0770. A Moment's Peace in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall at the intersection of Carruthers Parkway and Bakers Bridge Avenue. Call or click right now, 224-0770. Online at amomentspeace.com.
Hey, it's Jared with my friends at Hiller. Kick off the new year with new upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize. Get a free 55-inch TV, Apple iPad, Solo Stove, or Nintendo Switch when you purchase new whole home generators or select new HVAC systems. Or a free 55-inch TV, Nintendo Switch, or Solo Stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of necessary home replacements, so call Hiller. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11. Presented by Hair Club. Hair Club. Love your hair. Live your life. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Glorious. It's so stupid. It's a terrible song. I mean, I know it was some pro wrestling song, but like enough.
Need to clip that up, that's for sure. And play that many times in the future.
Please don't.
Would be great.
No, what happens in the 6 o'clock hour is not clippable. That should be a rule on this show.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. And I feel like we're approaching a Rex Rant on continuing to use this song coming back in, but I'm here for it every time.
Yeah, probably shouldn't
Never gets old.
Shouldn't do it on Monday, but I have a serious suggestion on that one. I think that you should cut the clip at him just saying you should clip that up. I think it's better that way. It's more efficient, and it like me saying blah 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 6 a.m. hours like whatever. It doesn't really add anything to it. You know what I'm saying?
I do think Robby and I love that part, though.
Really?
I just love the whole thing.
I mean, the meat of it is my glorious singing, right? But
well, yeah.
Anyway,
sure.
Just a thought. All right, I got a little bit of a grab bag today. So Monday, you come back with a bunch of texts. First of all, I want to start with a quick shout out to my buddy Benny Wong, who, as I talked about in a previous Rex Rant, passed away of esophageal cancer. This weekend in Chicago, we had his funeral, which was a celebration of life. But basically, Benny's like, I will not have a funeral. There will be no funeral. Funerals are sad. So what he did was, before he died, he rented out McGee's Tavern in Chicago. He paid for full open bar for 10 hours. The whole place was ours and a buffet, and basically was like, honor me. Wow. And we did. So shout out to him and to all the people who showed up. I mean, the place was absolutely packed. So Nancy Armour, USA Today sports columnist, who I've worked with some in the past, I'm in this place. I'm like, what the heck are you? And I knew she lived in Chicago. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, what are you doing here? You're friends with Benny Wong too? Oh my God, everybody's friends with Benny Wong. Anyway, love you, Benny Wong. Rest in peace. And that was a fantastic way to honor him. I also want to quickly throw in something about I said earlier, but I need. This could be a separate rant, but it's fine.
Okay.
So I don't understand the Tony Romo thing. I don't get it. I don't think he's any different at all. Maybe he messed up more, or he's even a little bit more like jittery and goofy. But hasn't he always been that? They're doing an intervention now. I don't understand this.
Well, when he first started, he the diagnosing the play that was coming before the snap, all that stuff was great. Like people loved it, and he doesn't do that as much anymore. But as far as like his demeanor, I would agree. It's pretty much the same as it's always been. He's always kind of been like a happy 12-year-old in the booth. Like it's kind of the way he is. Now, I will say, and you and I talked about this after the AFC title game, like some of the stuff that he does sometimes kind of works my nerves a little bit. Like, oh, what's going to happen here, Jim? It's like, oh, well, it's what you're paid to talk about, Tony. So why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I get that bothering people. It doesn't seem like it's all that different. But anyway, I want to talk today about, let me just tell you about an email I got. Let's see, this was yesterday. Or no, I guess it was Saturday. Saturday night, 6:15 p.m. And the email. I'm not going to say the sender because I'm not going to give any extra attention. But I do want to tell you about the email. It just says tip. Like, oh,
that's always good.
Tip.
It's a great start.
And here's the email. Go, all caps, F you, bleep, bleep, yourself. Go Vols.
All right.
Yes. And I'm like, it's okay, I guess I know what that's about. Because at the end of the Tennessee-Auburn game, Olivier Kamwa absolutely fouled Wendell Green. Like it should have been three shots to try to tie the game. It was a blatant foul.
Yes.
I knew you'd agree with me. But it was. I mean,
I was watching it at the wedding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice. No, it was a blatant foul. I mean, he jumped into the cylinder, as they call it, and he made, not heavy, but he made contact up high. Now, our buddy Wes, who was on the show earlier, had a tweet like, well, if you're going to call that, then you got to be honest, because they, push Vescovi, and that's fine. There's bad calls. They also, the Vols, I thought, had a 5-second call. They didn't call. I mean, you can go on and on. Anyway, I simply tweeted about this, and I once again was reminded, if you want to take on Vol Twitter,
oh boy, have
at it. But, just be prepared. So there's a lot of comments. And again, most of the comments are just arguing with me. But even that is guys, if you flip the jerseys around, it would be a freaking congressional investigation about the horrific foul on Auburn. So my tweet was, quote, Bruce Pearl bypasses a Rick Barnes handshake to scream at the refs, and he has beef. Absolutely should have been a foul on Kamwa, 3 foul shots to force overtime. More quality SEC officiating. And, yes, the absolute. But my favorite tweet back I got was, this is one of my favorites, from Allen. It says, Joe just likes to hate on Tennessee and be controversial for clicks.
Yep.
Trying to be like Paul and Jared. He's just not as good at it.
Yep.
It is true. I am no Stilly or Pauly. But I love that.
For the Twitter clicks.
I love the clicks, man. I love the click. Give me those clicks.
Yep.
Watch the play. Pretty obvious what happened. Give me the Twitter clicks. The Twix. Give me a Twix.
Could go for a Twix.
Actually, I could go for a Twix too. Yeah. So anyway, it was a little bit of a reminder. Vol Twitter. Just look, guys. It's okay. There are bad calls. Okay. Your team gets some. The other team gets some. This happens. Sometimes it screws you over. I mean, I still think Tennessee got screwed over by the refs in the Music City Bowl here a couple years ago. And people, wrote about that. People got all mad about it. In this case, you got bailed out. And another thing I got from people, which is a pet peeve, is the whole they're never going to call it at that point in a game.
That drives me nuts.
Don't decide the game. You decide the game if you don't call an obvious call. You decide the game just as much by not calling something that should be called as you do by calling something.
Correct.
Now, if you call something that shouldn't be called, now then we can talk about it.
Exactly.
But the idea that, at the end there, just let them do absolute pro wrestling. It's the end of the game. I mean,
I hate when people say that.
There's so many people say that.
You have to. Especially if it's going to tie the game or it's going to be a game-winning shot. Specifically that play.
Well, just make the right call. I don't care when it is. Make the right call.
Yeah.
If it's a foul, call it. If it's not, don't. Period.
You know, this is a great rant, but you know what my favorite part about it is? And I don't even know if you're going on Wednesday night when Tennessee plays Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah.
But I can just already foresee something going Tennessee's way and you talking about it, and then Vanderbilt fans getting all over you. It's going to be great.
Joe.
We could have the opposite of this coming up on Thursday. I love the heat from both sides that you get.
I hate your
beautiful.
team. I hate your team. Yeah.
Vandy Ball Joe.
Vandy Joe. You get a lot of nicknames out there.
V squared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've muted a fair amount of both fan bases. Definitely a lot more Tennessee fan. There's just a bigger fan base, bigger outrageous Twitter presence there. But there's still, there's still muting to happen. The muting has not all been done. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you can.
Well, I guess
I may try.
Or just delete Twitter. Remember that convo a couple weeks ago?
I know.
That would be muting all.
That would be.
I know. I think I'm getting cold feet on that for now. But it's not dead. It's not over.
Right.
It could happen still.
Matt on the text line says, Tennessee alumni here, diehard volunteer fan. Joe is right. This is from Matt on the text. I mean, it's pretty clear foul.
Well, and let me say, there were plenty of comments on that tweet that were like, I agree, you know. And some were like, but the biggest argument like he kicked his feet. I'm like, yeah, I know he kicked his feet, but he'd already been contacted up high. Yes. Wendover, he kicks his feet all over the place. It looks like he's trying to be Daniel LaRusso out there. I get it, okay? But it doesn't change this particular play. So, but there were plenty of people that were like, yeah, I mean, it was the right call. So thank you. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. This has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. Coming up next, we'll be joined by our friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Appointment listening, as he calls it every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Predators win it in overtime. Touchdown, Tennessee.
We live the game.
My quarterback needs me to step up.
He can make a defense pay.
We are
1, 2, 3, 5.
I think it was a good game. You had a couple of big plays.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official 2022 stats are in, and the Pella brand is rated #1 by Nashville homeowners for windows and doors. One reason, Nashville homeowners selected Pella Windows #1 for the highest quality craftsmanship. Another key stat, Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is also rated #1 for the brand that stands behind their product. If you need new doors or windows, the choice is clear. Choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection. Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
If you missed the latest from Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
But I do think all things considered with replay and the fact that we can go down to the single bittiest little millisecond, and there are still some calls like the third down call that we're all looking at what's going on there, where we should have every single piece of information as to why a certain thing was called.
Right, but when that happens, right, who's really, other than the wackos, okay, who really thinks the game is rigged when they see it? And maybe some crazy Bengals fans. fans. All right,
Bengals fans are
because you get emotional when
they are
it's
going
your team.
crazy
Your
right
first
now.
instinct as a fan for your team is, wait a minute, you're screwing our team. But in the real world, that's not a conspiracy, right? When a guy comes in, it's just an honest mistake. They messed up.
I think it is.
It shouldn't have happened, but the game is not rigged based on what happened there.
I do think a lot of people believe it.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now, your Game Center update.
This weekend, 4 Tennessee Titans represented the team at the Pro Bowl. Derrick Henry, Jeffrey Simmons, Morgan Cox, and Ben Jones. The Tennessee Titans are still looking for their offensive coordinator, and the Indianapolis Colts still have to fill their head coaching position. Senior NFL reporter Charles Robinson gives his thoughts on what is happening in Indy.
Everybody believes that Irsay, when it's all done, that it's going to be Jeff Saturday, and that Irsay is going to be the one who, made that call, and they interviewed 6,000 people before they ultimately, came to that conclusion. It's one of those searches where it's weird because you're sitting there and you're going, like, Chris Ballard doesn't want to do this. Like, Chris Ballard, he has no choice, so he's going to go through, all these interviews and ultimately let's hire whoever you think the best candidate is, or Irsay's going to go, yeah, I like Jeff.
Kyrie Irving was traded to the Dallas Mavericks this weekend. Tennessee Volunteers will be in town on Wednesday to play Vanderbilt in Memorial Coliseum. This report is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm Michelle Knesvik for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3. 1, 2, 3.
I think it was a good game. You had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Welcome back in. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, live from northern Antarctica here in our studios.
That's a warm part of Antarctica, though.
Yeah, it is.
The northern part.
Yeah, it is.
So Chase wants to kill us.
Yes.
Thanks, Chase.
Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knesvik here with you. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Corey Curtis from News 2, as he calls it, and he's right. Appointment listening every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Corey, good morning. How are you?
Oh, it's a great morning.
That's good. It is a great morning. We appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, Corey, we were talking about the Titans' offensive line, some decisions they have to make this offseason.
Did you guys get sick to your stomach?
Yeah, we kind of did. There's a whole lot that's going on about the Titans' offensive line. What do you think about Nate Davis? As you look at Nate Davis, the way that he's played when he's been on the field, also the injury issues. I know that's shocking to talk about a Titans player with injury issues. How do you think the Titans will and should handle the Nate Davis situation as they move forward? Is he somebody that you're bringing back next season?
My understanding is, while he probably should be back, probably won't be back because the price tag is probably just going to be too high for what you're actually going to get.
So, I get that. Now, of course, Corey, that adds another potential free agent acquisition that you would need to do. I mean, you're certainly going to do work in the draft, but to me, the Titans need to probably think about 2 offensive line signings in free agency. So I guess depending on who you're going after, I guess right. You're paying that money just maybe to someone you think is more reliable.
Yeah, and maybe that you get a little bit more out of as far as work and the type of guy that you want there. And so we'll see how that goes. Because you're right, he's you think of the guys that you could bring back. He's one of the guys where you say, well, he's an NFL starter, and you look at Aaron Brewer, and we all like him, but we all still wonder, is he an NFL starter? We certainly don't have an NFL starter looking there on the left side of the line. We don't know what's going to happen in the middle. And, I think the jury's still out on Petit Frere. I mean, he did okay, but I don't think, look, he wasn't David Stewart. He wasn't Jack Conklin out of the gate. And so we have to see, how that thing develops.
Corey Curtis from News 2 with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So what's your thoughts on the Taylor Lewan part of this? Because, obviously I think we would all agree he's going to get cut. And there's a whole lot that has to happen. Like, number one, he's got to decide he wants to play football. Number two, the Titans have to decide that they would want him back, albeit on a cheaper deal. Do you think that's something the Titans will consider, should consider? Where do you come down on the Taylor Lewan part of this?
He would have to really be open to a very team-friendly deal. I could not and I like Taylor. I'm not someone who doesn't like Taylor. And I think what he meant to this team before he was hurt 2 of the last 3 years, I think has been greatly underappreciated by a lot of people. He was a lockdown left tackle for a long time. But the fact is he hasn't played for like 2 of the last 3 years. And you can't go into the season hoping he's healthy. You can't go into the season hoping he stays healthy when his recent track record says that's not going to be. And by the way, also the last time he came back from ACL surgery, he didn't start great. It was a rough start for him. And so, that all could be dead wrong, and he could go to the Steelers or whatever other fan base is clamoring to get him, and he could lock it down and be tremendous, and I hope he does. But if you're the Titans looking to move forward, the only way you could do that is with a really, really team-friendly deal, in my estimation. And that would be up to him if he would be, willing to do that. Because there will be someone willing to give him some money to come and play.
Are you on the Matt Nagy seems to be the leader in the clubhouse bandwagon? And either way, whether you are or aren't, what do you think of him? I know as a close Chicago Bears observer, you probably have some Matt Nagy takes.
Well, look, he had a good start and a terrible finish in Chicago, right? He was NFL Coach of the Year. And then it just all got really, really weird. I am always leery of offensive coordinators who come from systems where the head coach is the brains behind it. Andy Reid, okay?
Yep.
That's his offense. It's not Matt Nagy's. There's no question about it. And I'm also leery of coordinators who come from teams with superior quarterback play, okay? Matt Nagy has both, all right? He's got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. He better look good. There was a guy named Adam Gase who made a career out of being Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator for a year or two, all right? So, that's why I'm always leery of that stuff. Does that mean I don't think that Matt Nagy can do it? No. I don't know. I don't know. He's been around it. I know he was highly thought of enough by Andy Reid for Andy to bring him back, and that says something to me because I respect the heck out of Andy Reid. But I do agree that there's a lot of reason to believe that he or Bieniemy or one of these guys this weekend is under major consideration, or the decision would have already been made.
Well, what do you think about the Super Bowl matchup this weekend? Philadelphia and Kansas City. Obviously, you've talked about it, Mahomes and that team just live in the AFC title game, going to their third Super Bowl since Mahomes has taken over as starting quarterback. What do you think of the matchup, and who do you like in this matchup?
Well, it's a good thing you asked because I am a genius and I do know virtually everything.
You do.
Look, this is what it comes down to me, and believe me, I love Andy Reid and I love Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles have the best offensive line in football, and the Eagles can disrupt the passer. When Mahomes and the Chiefs played the Bucs in the Super Bowl, what happened? The Bucs had a superior offensive line, and the Bucs could disrupt the passer, and they beat the heck out of Mahomes. So, unfortunately for Kansas City, I can see almost a duplicate of that Super Bowl. And I think that the Eagles will handle business because of their ability to block up front and get after Mahomes. And Mahomes doesn't have the weapons that he had back then either.
Yeah, no, I think that's certainly possible. Obviously, the Chiefs were also bad up front. The Bucs were fantastic, but a couple of years ago, Mahomes had
they're better.
He
they're
couldn't
a little
even
better
set
now.
up.
But this is I mean, the Eagles had like 70 sacks this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're better.
Yes. I want to go back quickly on free agency with you, Corey. Another thing we've talked about today, T. Higgins. How good do you think T. Higgins is away from Jamar Chase and all the weapons in that offense? Just if he were, I think he wants to be out there and say, I'm a number one receiver, and he wants to be paid as such. Should he be paid as such? How good do you think he is? Should the Titans get in on him?
I guess it depends on what the price is. T. Higgins is a really good player, and he's big and he's physical, so he kind of matches what the Titans like and what their kind of identity is. And just go back to this season when Jamar Chase was down. T. Higgins was putting up numbers just like he always has. It didn't slow him down, right? I mean, you didn't have Jamar Chase go out and teams say, okay, we're going to double T. Higgins now, and all of a sudden T. Higgins disappears. T. Higgins was still a factor. He's going to get paid by somebody. And again, it's where's your cap? How much could you afford? Because you've got other issues. But there's no doubt in my mind that T. Higgins makes the Tennessee Titans a better football team.
No question about it. Corey Curtis from News 2 makes us a better radio program every Monday morning at 8 o'clock here on the show.
Hey,
Corey?
God, you guys need the help.
No,
My
we
gosh.
do. There's no question about it.
Fair
It's
point.
fair criticism. Corey, appreciate you as always. Go ahead.
Before I go. Because, it's a new era, and you're a whippersnapper, and Joe and I are old as dirt. and Joe and I, are from an era where you hang with your teams, and you're from an era where people hang with players and they follow LeBron from team to team. So will you follow Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders, or will you stick with the moldy cheese?
I'm sticking with the moldy cheese. Jordan Love will be my guy.
Nice. I like. See, there you go. See, he's an old soul.
Right.
Matt LaFleur is a different story, but Jordan Love will be my guy.
You'll root against him wherever he coaches.
Corey, thank you as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More on that coming up next. Let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Football fans, FanDuel has a perfect way for everyone to get in on Super Bowl 57 action with a no-sweat same-game parlay. That means everyone gets bonus bets back if your Super Bowl same-game parlay doesn't hit. And it doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. Same-game parlays let you combine all your favorite bets for a chance at a bigger payday. So start building your own or just bet a popular same-game parlay that's already made for you in America's #1 sportsbook. We just talked about the Super Bowl matchup. I'm going with Philadelphia. And I'm going with Jalen Hurts as an anytime touchdown scorer rushing the football. But you can take it any way you want to take it. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up with promo code ROB when you download the app. Either way, you'll get bonus bets back if your no-sweat same-game parlay doesn't hit. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. A max bonus of $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Your home for MTSU basketball is 94.9 The Fan.
Three ball, yes, sir!
All the big shots and moments live here. MTSU basketball is on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan.
Want to be the real hero this Valentine's? Genesis Diamonds makes it easy with the Total Romance Package. It's the jewelry, the flowers, the candy, and the dinner out. All the key ingredients for a memorable Valentine's celebration. Here's how it works. When you buy any piece of jewelry for just $99 or more, we'll give you some gourmet chocolates, a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's Flowers, and a gift card toward dinner at STK Steakhouse. We've pulled together some wonderful Valentine gift ideas for the occasion. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, bands, affordable timeless gifts she can enjoy for years. And of course, if you're thinking of getting engaged this Valentine's, Genesis can create the ring of her dreams with our dazzling GIA diamonds and designer mountings. Unlimited possibilities. So So bring the sparkle and the romance with one-stop shopping at Genesis Diamonds. Spend just $99 or more with us and get the flowers, the chocolate, and gift card for dinner as our gift. Happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Limited quantity. See store for details.
The big game is finally here, and so are huge savings at Electronic Express. Come into any of our convenient locations and save big on 4K TVs from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Sony, TCL, Hisense, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, Bluetooth speakers, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Score amazing deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Join the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce February 14th, 16th, 21st, and 23rd for an exclusive look into what makes Nashville the IT city. Whether you're new to town or a Nashville native, Intro Nashville gives you the opportunity to become engaged and connected to our city's community. During this multi-day immersive program, you'll hear from over 20 community leaders and industry experts whose storytelling unlocks a comprehensive view of our city and region. Gain historical and economic perspective on Nashville while establishing relationships with local business leaders. Space is limited. Register now at intronash.com.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Thanks to Corey Curtis from News 2 for joining us in the last segment. It is another edition of Love Week this week here on the program, and we have a gift card to give away to a Moment's Peace Day Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs, a $100 gift card, and your chance to be qualified for a chance to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card as well. We're going to do it the same way we did it last week. Hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Again, that is our text line. And today's question is for those who are married. When did you know your significant other was the one? When did you know your significant other was the one? Michelle Knezovic will be our judge once again this week. Hit up your best story on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If Michelle likes it enough, you will be the winner today. So appreciate that.
Pull at some heartstrings, guys, this morning.
It's Love Week here on the program. And again, it's brought to you by a Moment's Peace Day Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs. You'll win a $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace Day Salon and Day Spa and be qualified for a chance to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card.
But if it's funny, that's cool still, too.
Yeah, that also works.
This seems like it would be a little bit more of a sentimental answer. But
could
you
be both.
Know. Yeah.
But also maybe you saw your now wife housing some chicken wings, and that's when you knew. That's when you knew she was the one.
Could be both together. Who
Sure.
knows? We'll see what happens on that front. Looking forward to seeing your responses on that front. Joe, as we prepare to battle through here on the program in what is frigid air conditions here in the studio.
My legs hurt. Look, I'm wrapped up here, like I'm in the North Pole or South Pole or whatever. But it's so cold, my legs hurt. So again, Chase.
Thank you, Chase.
Right. I mean, what else can you do to us, Chase? You cut us down by an hour.
We're on the
trying to kill. What else are we going to do here? Are my brakes going to work when I leave today?
We're on the air for 20 minutes. Chase trying to freeze us out of here. Love it.
How short can we make the show so you'll stop trying to kill us, Chase?
615-737-1025. I mean, look, I brought this up earlier with the Taylor Lewan discussion. There are a lot of people that just don't really seem to have an appetite for bringing Taylor Lewan back as an option at left tackle, which I get it. I do. I understand it if you think that way. I'm just saying I wonder if it's that clear of an answer for the Titans, like their point of view on this. That's really, at the end of the day, what matters.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting even listen to Corey Curtis and then, what Jim Wyatt said about Nate Davis. And like I said earlier on the show, I mean, if it's that cut and dried, then it's like, okay, is Vrabel not a fan of Nate Davis? And look, sometimes that could be. I mean, there's injuries and then, there's a lot that can go into that. Lawan is the biggest personality in any room he's in. He isn't necessarily, part of like the leadership group of the Titans. There's a little bit of a court jester element there, but still a hell of a competitor, heck of a player. So how much do you value that if you can – to me, man, that's such an important position, and he is an athletic technician who plays it well. If he's healthy, I think there's a decent chance, that the second knee surgery would work. Then the bigger if is if he wants to play.
Well, and regardless of if he wants to play or not, and if that's something the Titans are interested in, I mean, there's a whole lot that they got to do this offseason. Amy Adams Strunk has talked about tough decisions that have to be made. Decisions that aren't going to be so tough is you gotta address the offensive line, like, in a major way. And I do wonder, like, when free agency comes around, particularly with guards, let's say you're looking for 2 guards out there. How aggressive are you going to be in free agency when it comes to addressing your offensive line? You got to at least one move, I think, in my opinion, has to be made via free agency, maybe 2, and then you can kind of supplement in the draft from there. Like a left tackle, like I think you're probably going to have to find your left tackle in the draft, would be my guess, unless you just want to go pay big money. But, I mean, if they stay at 11, not knowing how the draft board is going to fall, I mean, a left tackle there makes a lot of sense, but then there's the wide receiver part of this too. How do you fix the wide receiving core this offseason? Because we've talked about the free agent pool and what that looks like. I don't think that people are as high on the draft at wide receiver either. It's not a great year, honestly, to be needing a lot of wide receivers, and the Titans find themselves needing a few wide receivers this offseason, in my opinion. So that's a long way of saying there's a ton to do this offseason, a lot of decisions to be made.
Right. I mean, unless you can make that trade, get T. Higgins. I'm trying to think, who's the best left tackle free agent? I guess Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
So who's about to play in the Super Bowl?
He got tagged last year by Kansas City. So what does that
could
look like
get tagged again?
He could. Be a heck of a cap hit.
Yeah. I mean that, but there are. I mean, look, the free agent crop just in general, the offensive line is better than receiver, without question. So it could be that they look if you go sign someone, then I think the draft, if you're just staying at 11, looks a lot more likely to be a receiver. Unless you can trade out, who knows? Then you could also go get your quarterback too. But of course, the decisions in free agency are made first, and I do wonder how active they will be looking for that position. I think no doubt interior they will be looking at that in free agency, and of course that's a lot less of a cap hit.
I've heard some people say that they would rather free agency begin after the draft than they would before the draft. What do you think of all that? Like, would you rather see NFL free agency happen after the draft takes place, or are you cool with it being where it is?
I'm cool with it being where it is. If you did that, the NFL might actually have a couple weeks of the year where they don't dominate the news cycle.
Maybe that's why people wanted to do that.
Well, I will say that free agency, to me, gets a little bit lost compared to what it could be because of the NCAA tournament. That's me. That's not everybody. But I'm very wrapped up in hoops, at that point.
Oh, we know.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean that those headlines go higher than the NFL free agency headlines, but it is a little bit of a busy time. You could shift around a little bit, but no. As far as like the operations of teams and whatever, I'm just used to that. Like
didn't Brady
you have free agency, and then you do your draft.
Didn't Brady come back didn't he unretire last year on like Selection Sunday? I think he did.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. He just totally ruined it
what
for
a
you.
Jerk. I totally forgot about that.
Maybe that's his plan this year. Selection Sunday's not that far away.
Yeah, maybe he'll do it right in the middle of like the national championship game or something like that. He could even go a little higher. First day of games.
Yeah.
One of the great days in all sports. No, but why do people want to put the free agency after the draft? What's the reasoning?
Well, I think just so like you can draft and then exactly like, okay, we didn't get such and such in the draft and didn't fill this position, so we know exactly what it is we're going for. But I mean, to me, like you know what your offseason plan anyways. Like I don't think it's a big secret right now that the Titans need offensive linemen and wide receiver help. So you can address that in both.
Yeah, like in one thing or the other, you're going to fill some needs. You probably aren't going to get everything done, and so then you do it in the other one.
Right.
So, no, I think it's probably good how it is. They can steal some thunder from college basketball.
Well, and that's also how, free agency started. Quarterbacks make some decisions. As we know, there can be some draft day trades that take place, like we saw last year here with the Tennessee Titans. I think we could see some draft day trades this year too. It could be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe with a certain quarterback in Green Bay. We'll see. Although I feel like that probably needs to be figured out before the draft.
Yeah, I would think so, right?
You would think.
And
a lot of momentum to the Raiders. A lot of it.
Hey, man, it'd be fun. It may not be fun for you, but it would be fun in general in the NFL if he's back throwing the ball to Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
With Waller, it could be fun.
Dennis on the text line says, what are your feelings on Haskins? Should the Titans be looking for a running back mid-round? This from Dennis on the text line.
I don't have a great feeling on Haskins. I do think that just from my naked eye watching him from camp all the way through, I think he and Julius Chestnut are very there's not a big gap there. The difference in those guys is that Haskins, the Titans use a draft pick on Haskins. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine player. I think instead of using a mid-round pick, I would re-sign Dontrell Hilliard because I think Dontrell Hilliard could be even more than just a third down back if you wanted to use him that way. I guess like Deontay Foreman, kind of amazing to me just sitting around 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Good player. And so I don't know. Haskins, you've drafted him. He'll be around. I think that'll keep him here. When you talk about using mid-round picks on that, it's like you got
so many other things.
You just have so many things to address. I feel like you need to draft like 3 or 4 offensive linemen and just play the odds and hope that a couple work out for you.
Michelle, do we have a Love Week winner? A lot of interesting text on the text line so far.
Yeah,
yes,
some unreadable ones.
We do have a Love Week winner. John is our winner, and I'll read his little response of how he fell in love with his wife. He said, nothing cute, rather gross maybe, but we were both on active duty Marines when we met, and I had just gotten out of the field, so my stomach was in shambles from the terrible food they provided. So I let one rip in her kitchen on accident. She acted like it didn't even happen and continued with her conversation we were having, and I was like, well, if she can look past my obvious gas, then she has to be the one. So John is our winner today.
Well done, John. You've won a $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace Day Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs and are qualified for a chance to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card as well. We'll continue with our Love Week submissions throughout the week here on Robby and Rexrode.
The sweet scent of love. So does she continue? I need to know, does she still just ignor that stuff, or did she get the one-time thing calling you out?
The funny thing is there are a couple that are in relation to that, like a couple same scenarios. So, but his was I like John's the best, so.
There we go.
We love it, John.
We do love it. We'll have more Love Week later this week. Coming up next, we'll be joined by John Glennon from NHL.com. We'll get his thoughts on the Predators as they resume action coming up tomorrow night against the Vegas Golden Knights. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The offseason is underway for the Tennessee Titans. But the work has just begun for the two-tone blue.
The offensive line, as badly as any other weapon, you have to fix left guard and left tackle.
For all the news and moves, keep it locked right here. Talking Titans, we are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Drive. Hey, guys, it's Q, Murr, and Sal from Practical Jokers, and we are excited to announce our brand new Drive tour.
True TV and Practical Jokers, the Drive Tour, starring Q, Murr, and Sal. July 27th, the Opry House.
This is going to drive me insane.
Tickets on sale now at Opry.com. 16 years of age or older suggested to attend. Produced by Outback Presents.
Hi, this is NFL alumni Tennessee chapter president and former All-Pro linebacker Al Smith. On the field, I always wore a helmet and pads to make sure I was protected. Life is no different. That's why I got vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19. Protection keeps you in the game. Talk to your doctor. Get the information you need to make an informed choice. Gear up, Tennessee. Protect yourself, your family, and others against COVID-19 today.
More information at nflagearup.org/Tennessee.
Social Furniture's tax refund sale is going on now. You will save up to 50% in every department. Huge markdowns. You don't want to miss this opportunity to make your home spectacular. We have everything for your home in stock with no waiting. And hassle-free same-day delivery makes it easy. Pay no money down and pay no interest for 1 full year during Social Furniture's tax refund sale. Don't wait. Come in today. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in the Richland Creek Shopping Center. And save, save, save.
Signs First, Nashville's trusted vehicle wrap and graphics one-stop shop. From one-off custom applications to entire company fleets, Signs First delivers superior quality both locally and nationally since 1991. Be creative. Get noticed. Signs First. Go to sfnash.com.
Call in the Morning Drive with Robby and Rexrode this week for your chance to win a 4-pack of wristbands to the 50th Annual National Wild Turkey Federation Convention at Opryland, February 16th through the 18th. And be sure to click on the contest tabs at thegamenashville.com for another chance to win.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineup.
Robby and Rexrode 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our good friend John Glennon from NHL.com. John, good morning. How are you?
I am well. How are you guys?
We are good. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, John, Pred's back at it tomorrow off the bye week / All-Star break, taking on Vegas. And the push for the playoffs begins as they host the Golden Knights tomorrow. What do you make of what you've seen from the Predators to this point? And I guess your outlook for them as they try to make the playoff push in the unofficial second half of the season.
Yeah, they've got some work ahead of them. Clearly, they dug a little bit of a hole, for themselves so far, and they've got some ground to make up. But I really kind of like where things left off for this team. You could certainly make an argument that the break didn't come at a great time for the Nashville Predators because they were playing the last 3 games. Probably 3 of their best games of the year. When you look at what they did. And kind of come from behind wins over L.A., over Winnipeg, over the Devils as well. 3 very good quality teams. I didn't think those were fluke wins by any stretch. I didn't think they were holding on. I didn't think UC Saros carried them in any of those games. So I think they're playing well right now. I think the only question is, do we see that same team come out tomorrow night? Are they able to bottle what they had in those last 3 games? If you can do that, you certainly increase your chances going down the stretch.
Well, John, I guess I agree with you. They played well, and they looked, I guess, more like the team we thought they'd be this year. But obviously, you have this meeting and all the conversation at the meeting and some guys who have not been performing who then kind of kick into gear. I guess my question is, do you feel like it's sustainable? Some of those guys were good all year last season, but they're also getting older. Do you feel like what they're doing is a sustainable thing, or is this going to end up being a fleeting, burst of intensity because they kind of had they had this frank meeting, but it's not really sustainable because they just aren't good enough? That's kind of my question right now.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is we get a real test right away as well tomorrow night. That's a big game coming right out of the break. When you start looking at teams above the Predators and who you're going to catch, maybe Vegas to me is a team that looks pretty shaky right now. They're going to come into Nashville having lost 4 straight. I think they've only scored 5 goals in those last 4 games, and they've lost 7 of 8. So immediately you get a test. You beat Vegas tomorrow, you're within 6 points, and you got 3 games in hand on Vegas. So, yeah, that's an immediate test. But, yeah, I agree with you that is the big question. How sustainable is this? Because what the Predators need, going down the stretch is not just for guys like Forsberg and Duchesne and Yossi to be good. They need them to be great. They need to be at last year's level. And maybe, when you start seeing that finish line, it's still obviously, a couple months or several weeks away, but maybe, that provides that extra dose of adrenaline, that extra dose of motivation. When you see that finish line and you realize we really got to pick things up, maybe that's when the points really start to kick in, because you're right. When you look at points right now, just going over it this morning, Philip Forsberg is the top points guy on this Predators team, and he sits around 80th in the league in terms of points, and Duchesne's a little bit behind him. So those guys need not only be good, they need to be great for the next several weeks.
John Glennon with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, John, what do you think the approach should be from David Poile as the trade deadline approaches here, now less than a month away from that? And how much do you think where the Predators sit in the standings? Because if you look at it, they're probably not going to be in a much different spot than they are right now. They may be a few points in. They may be a few points out. How do you handle that if you're David Poile once March the 3rd comes around?
Yeah, assuming that the Predators, don't really go into a tumble here in the next several weeks, I agree with you. I think they're probably going to be in a similar spot right around, the playoff break there. And I think in general that what we've seen from David Poile in those situations is, maybe make a pickup, not a giant pickup, not a mortgage the future, not a give up a first or a second round draft pick kind of a deal, but maybe somebody who could bolster a line, maybe if it's a bottom 6 player, or maybe if it's another defenseman for depth, that kind of thing, but something where you don't have to give up too much. I think, we're starting to see signs that the Predators prospects, that the pipeline is starting to look a little bit better. Joe, I know, the Athletic had the ranking recently, had the Predators number 10 there in terms of prospect ranking, and we're starting to see that, production from some of those players moving into the Nashville system as well. And I don't think you want to give up too much of that when you're a team that may or may not make the playoffs at this point.
So like a depth pickup, say like at a low cost, like say a Jeremy Lauzon, for example. Is that the idea? No big cost there.
I mean, honestly, it's someone similar to that. Yeah, I don't think you're looking really at a top 6 necessarily, unless you can get some kind of a really good deal there. I just don't see taking too much of a risk based on where you are right now.
Eeli Tolvanen. I continue to contend, things will regress, and he'll basically be what he was here. I just, I think terrific shot, limitations otherwise, but he is red hot, and as he continues to score, Preds fans continue to talk about it, which I don't blame them at all. How do you view him so far, and what do you expect moving forward?
Yeah, it's hard to complain, or it's easy to complain, I should say, if you're a Nashville Predators fan, because certainly this was a guy who came into the organization, with all kinds of expectations, not only a first-round draft pick, but of how well he had been playing, in Russia, previous to coming here years ago. And, I will say that I thought that the Nashville Predators gave him ample opportunity. I did think they gave him chances in numerous different lines, combinations, styles. And I know I've seen an interview or two with Tolvanen where he said, sometimes they wanted me to be scoring goals. Sometimes they wanted to be more of a checking guy. And that he felt maybe that his role wasn't clear. Well, I guarantee you this, if Eeli Tolvanen had been scoring goals and producing, he wouldn't have been in a checking role, that's for sure. And they gave him, opportunity to score goals. It just wasn't happening here. But, I think it's only natural to wonder when all of a sudden he goes to Seattle and all of a sudden he's cranking up, tremendous production in his first, 15 games or so there. Why wasn't it happening here? And it goes back, you start thinking of a guy like a Kevin Fiala years ago who went through sort of a similar situation here. He was somewhat productive, certainly, but didn't live up to expectations. And again, they gave him all kinds of chances, all kinds of opportunities. It just wasn't happening. And then since he's moved on, certainly in terms of offense anyway, he's become, a much better player. Difference being between those two examples, at least you got something for Kevin Fiala where, Ellie Tolden obviously was claimed on waivers. So, yeah, I think we have to wait and see a bigger picture. But, as it stands right now, yeah, I think you have to be disappointed in terms of what happened here because a guy who apparently has more potential and production than what he showed here is illustrating that now in Seattle.
John, what do you make of the picture for the Predators right now on the blue line? You picked up McDonough this past offseason. Obviously, there's a heavy cap hit and term that comes with that. You've already signed Yossi and Ekholm, and both Carrier and Fabro are going to need a new contract after this year. And my guess is if you keep things the way they are right now, one of those two guys, and probably Fabro, are going to be a third-pairing defenseman. That's a lot of money to be paying a third-pairing defenseman. So what do you make of kind of the current setup for the Predators on defense and maybe what could happen, whether it's at the trade deadline, whether it's at the summer or during the summer when David Poile has to take a look at that and decide what exactly he wants that to look like as they move forward here?
Yeah, I agree with you that sort of looked like that for a while. With there's probably going to be a case of either or for Carrier or Fabro, and from the looks of it, there certainly seems to be a sense that the Predators maybe think there's more potential, more of an upside in Carrier than they do in Fabro at this point. And certainly there has to be some level of disappointment in Fabro because you're looking at a first round pick who's maybe playing below the level of what they expected. So, yeah, it certainly wouldn't shock me, if it's I don't think it would be at the trade deadline, but, perhaps something in the off season where he or Carrier, my guess would be Fabro, gets moved because, yeah, you're looking at not only do you need a new contract for those guys, but you're looking at some other RFAs too. Tanner Jeannot is an RFA. Cody Glass is an RFA as well. So you're going to have to come up with some money for some players and some signings. You can't do all of them. And then there's some. We have seen some guys come up from Milwaukee, and play some decent minutes, and there appear to be some decent prospects moving up. So certainly, yeah, I would see some movement on that defensive front.
John Glennon from NHL.com, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Johnny, great stuff as always. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. John Glennon from NHL.com, our guest. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Preds. 615-737-1025. More on that coming up next. But first, Joe Rexrode has a word from our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook.
Yes, because football fans, FanDuel has the perfect way for everyone to get in on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat same-game parlay. That means everyone gets bonus bets back if a Super Bowl same-game parlay does not hit. Doesn't matter if you're new or if you have an account already. Of course, if you don't know about same-game parlays, you can combine bets for a chance at a bigger payday, and you can build your own, or you can bet a popular same-game parlay made for you in America's #1 sportsbook. If I'm looking at the Super Bowl here, my parlay right now doesn't have a winner because I don't know. But you know what? I think over on the Jalen Hurts rushing yards, over on the Mahomes passing yards, I envision the Chiefs in comeback mode in the fourth quarter. I'm just not sure yet if they're going to finish it off. But there's 2 of 3 for a parlay. Of course, you can do all kinds of different things. And if you're new, you sign up promo code Joe102 when you download the app. Either way, you're going to get those bonus bets back if your no-sweat same-game parlay does not hit. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And, of course, you have to be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued is now withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 less otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
White 85! Every team needs a quarterback.
White 85!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim.
You can run good plays at the right time.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
You evaluate players, and then you're turning them over to the coaching staff.
Every Tuesday at noon.
At the right time.
With Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Tim on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared with my friends at Hiller. Kick off the new year with new upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize. Get a free 55-inch TV, Apple iPad, Solo Stove, or Nintendo Switch when you purchase new whole home generators or select new HVAC systems. Or a free 55-inch TV, Nintendo Switch, or Solo Stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of necessary home replacements, so call Hiller. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Here's a Valentine's reminder from Genesis Diamonds. It's not just the thought that counts, it's the effort too. So let Genesis Diamonds turn your Valentine's Day gift into a grand romantic gesture with our Ultimate Valentine's Day package. Right now, when you spend just $99 or more at Genesis Diamonds, we'll give you gourmet chocolates, a bouquet from Jenny's Flowers, and a gift card toward a romantic dinner at STK Steakhouse. It's just one stop at Genesis Diamonds and you create a total romantic experience. You simply choose which ring, pair of earrings, or bracelet or sparkling pendant best matches your special someone, and we'll take care of the rest. And as always, we'll guarantee the best value price with no commission salespeople. The Ultimate Valentine's Day package. Jewelry, flowers, dinner, and candy from Genesis Diamonds. Sure does make it look like she's worth the extra effort. And that's the thought that really counts. Hurry in now because packages are limited. Genesis Diamonds in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hi, this is Chef Mark at Bob's Steak and Chop House at the Omni Hotel. Looking for a romantic dinner with that special someone? Be sure to join us and try one of our signature dishes, like our Australian cold water lobster tail, flash fried to perfection, and tossed in lemon butter. Did I also mention we've won the Wine Spectator Award of Excellence 7 consecutive years? Come join us for a memorable meal here at Omni and be sure to ask for Chef Mark.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bob's Steak and Chop House in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Sometimes he gets lonely and needs some company.
10 for 17 for 45 yards in his career with 1 interception.
This is one of those years where it's a step back for them.
And that'll create more one-on-one situations and make it easier for him to throw the ball down the field.
It's Stillman and Company.
You've got real talent.
With Jared Stillman. Weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you. Hey, Preds fans, if you want to win tickets in our lower bowl section 102, text the keyword Superbook, all one word. Once again, that's Superbook, all one word, to the Game text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. Win with 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and you can win with Superbook as well. Also, make sure you're tuning in to Smashville Live this Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Brought to you by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, Little Harpeth Beer, and Superbook Sports. Taking your thoughts on the Preds. I got a texter that says if the Preds can get into the playoffs and avoid Colorado or Edmonton in the first round, then they have a chance to win a round. I guess talking about McDavid and Draisaitl taking over, and then there's Colorado. I think Colorado's going to get in. I don't know if they're going to win the division. Yeah, who knows where? Like, first off, can you imagine like winning a division and then Colorado's like the wild card team you have to play? It's like, oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens on that front. There's one thing that John brought up that, you know, we talk about the future all the time from this group. But I do wonder, like from a contractual standpoint, if you're the Predators sitting here making decisions, you have Trennan that you have to figure out long term. You have Tanner Jeannot, whose contract is up after this year. You know, we've talked about the Fabro-Carrier stuff a lot. But you also look down at the pipeline, and you don't want to restrict guys maybe from some upward mobility there either in coming up. Like Tomasino is one guy, but I mean Luke Evangelista, who we talked about a lot last year, who was over 100-point player in juniors. I mean, he leads the Admirals in scoring right now. He's got 34 points, 42 games. It's his first year of pro hockey, and he's He's playing really well. He's the AHL All-Star over the weekend. I mean, at some point, I think in the not-too-distant future, he's going to be ready, and he's going to be ready to play for you. So you also, when you're figuring out Glass and Jeannot and all these different guys, you have to find ways to leave room for those guys too, and Tomasino and Evangelista. Maybe at some point Afanassiev's a part of that discussion too. And you look at the roster right now, I mean, you don't really have room for all those guys yet. So how do you create room for those guys if you're David Poile? That's another thing you got to think about this offseason, is to get some room for those guys to come up.
There's a guy named Philip Tomasino who's also there, by the way.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I look at prospects like Camel and Evangelista. I'd also wonder, like, are they – I mean, I feel like John Hines is very much in favor of, big physical teams, right? Like, how do they fit into how he likes to play? And also, are any of these guys – I feel like there's a lot of players who have a chance to be good. Is there any way to parlay some of this into someone who is great? It's that's the whole thing in this league, right? Can you get some more great players? I mean, I think they have. I think it's fair to say they have two. I mean, I would count Saros and Yossi.
I would agree.
Can they get a great forward? How do you do that? Or if you have a lot of good young players, that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I mean, you're hoping maybe Kimmel turns into that. Maybe Evangelista is a really good player. But to your point, like, I don't think Evangelista is going to be like an elite player,
80-point player.
I don't think.
Yeah,
now, he's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, he's fun. Yeah, I mean, watching the highlights, he's got some juice.
But that's what it goes back. Everything eventually circles back to the contracts you've already handed out, and that's why it makes it so hard, right? Because it's the hard cap in the NHL, and you got to figure out a way to maneuver that. I mean, the more and more I think about that, though, that's why I would just be, even if they're in a playoff spot, I'd be surprised if David Poile makes any move of consequence in terms of buying at the deadline. It's just at some point when you're mapping things out, like, you run out of room to do that stuff.
And I feel like he's sort of, the conversation with Chase, and we had a conversation with Paul Scabrino, the Tennessean, too. I feel like he's kind of hinted at that, like a big buys. I mean, keeping the options open. But, yeah, I'd be very surprised by that.
Well, I saw some Predators fans that wanted to get in on the Bo Horvat stuff, right? So Bo Horvat, really good player, gets traded from Vancouver to the Islanders. And yesterday the Islanders signed him to
a big deal.
An 8-year deal. Like, I understand, like, he's a good player. But, like, do you want to add another 8-year deal to this right now? Like,
I mean, God, you can't.
Eventually you have to, right? I mean, they just did with Forsberg. Like, there are guys that come along where if you want to keep your good players, you got to sign them an 8-year deal. Like,
you need some others to expire, though.
But you need some others to expire. That's the thing. So, I mean, you're in a spot right now, or even next year looking at free agency. Like, how much are you really going to be able to do based on the way your roster is currently constructed? I don't know.
Yeah.
Make some moves.
Buying somebody out is a possibility. Yeah, and some of those are obviously, it's not a ton of time on all those deals, but Yossi, Forsberg are obviously, you are with them for many, many years. Unless, I guess you could trade one of them if you really are rebuilding at some point. Who's, is there anybody out there who's signed up for, I could see Yossi? Would someone be interested in all those years of Yossi at 9.059?
Well, yeah, they would be interested in him, but you'd have to get him to move the contract, which I don't.
And there's that too.
Yeah. I don't think you can do that.
But if it's looking like, oh, God, here come 3 barren years here, and this team actually, even the last piece in the cup. Yeah. But the problem is when you talk about that stuff, those teams also are close too. There's just no one out there in this league who's like, tons of cap space. Who's good? Who's competitive?
Yeah. Gentry on the text line says, no significant moves at the deadline. And, Robbie, no more talk about Poile in the summer, please. Nothing from a near or far-sighted historical perspective suggests that they can do anything in the playoffs and likely won't be even a playoff team. 10 of 16 games in March are on the road and likely won't be favored in a single of 8 APR games is what he's trying to say there. Explain to me logically how they even get into the tourney. I mean, the math would suggest that they're not going to. Now, that's the math.
They're less likely
than not. They're less likely than not.
They're less likely to not than to.
Yes.
Yes.
Nailed it.
That doesn't mean it's impossible.
Well,
if they play like they did that last week, they'll win some of those games.
Well, there's 2 teams that I look at when you look at the standings. Number 1, in your own division, like Minnesota. Like you've got, I think, a team that is good. I don't think Minnesota's great, but right now they're in the third spot and you're 3 points back. Like Colorado, to me, as they get healthier, is going to jump up and they're going to move up in the standings. So I'm looking at Minnesota, and I'm looking at the team that's coming in here tomorrow night in Vegas, who has a big injury with Mark Stone. And when he's not out there, they're just not the same team. And this is kind of what happened to Vegas last year. They started off great, and then they got banged up, severely banged up, and it cost them the playoffs coming down the stretch. If you win tomorrow, as John said, all of a sudden you are, especially if you get it done in regulation, you're 3 points back of Vegas, and you got 3 games in hand on them. Like those are the two teams, if you're chasing down a playoff spot, that I'm really kind of keyed in on if I'm the Predators, is Minnesota and Vegas.
Makes sense. Yeah, because I mean, Colorado, they're going to go on a run.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're going to be just a real nasty draw for somebody who should not have to play them.
Matthew from Jolton in all capital letters. Tank for Bedard.
No,
that ship has sailed.
The bed for Bedard. Bleep the bed for Bedard.
Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, not going to happen.
The Blackhawks
There's
are
no
15,
tanking.
29, and 4. And the Blue Jackets are 15, 32, and 4. Not going to catch those guys in the tanking race. That doesn't mean they'll get them, but I'm just saying.
Well done. And let's not overlook the Coyotes and Ducks, both also in the 30s in points. There's some real competition this year.
Doozies out there. That's going to do it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Jason Michelle up next. This is 102.5, 106.3.